Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
You really adopted the dark. I was born in it.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Bazinga.
Two in the box. Ready to go. We be fast. They be slow.
Cool.
That sounds stuck in my head, man. All right, and we're recording. Welcome to the Mt.Geekmore podcast, your favorite podcast where we talk, discuss, argue, and debate your favorite top four, Mount Rushmores, if you will, of your favorite pop culture subjects. Today's pop culture subject is 1980s action movies.
The most difficult topic we've ever had.
Pretty much.
It required a lot more research than I anticipated.
I am Nary Science. With me, as usual, is Jeff. And then Dave.
Howdy.
And today we have a very special guest for the second time on this podcast. First time with me. We have from the... Oh, and Jeff, right?
Yeah.
We have from the Pero Let Me Tell You podcast. Introduce.
This is DJ from Pero Let Me Tell You. And yeah, it's my second time here. And I'm ready to geek it up.
Yeah, boy. Good to have you back, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well,
say something.
No, I don't know.
Please give us a moment.
I was just waiting for the heart eyes to stop from Dave giving him the heart eyes. Like the fucking cartoon.
like the
Glad you were
coyote.
back. I'm like, all right.
That's what happens when you get two Bond fans together. We're just gonna, bond over it.
Yeah, we're going to bond over bond. We're bonding.
Is that the name of the podcast? Bonding over bond?
Oh my god. Bonding on bond.
Bonding on... Oh, okay. I don't know about that one.
Bonding over bond, shaken, not stirred. All right, so
Coming this summer.
so the 1980s action movies is like the quintessential time for action
Yes.
movies. It's like this is like the fucking hub is time for action movies. So how did you guys come up with your list, David?
For me, it was actually really difficult because there are two movies that I've talked about a lot, which are often considered action movies, and I decided not to put them on my mountain. First, because I had spoken about them so many other times, but then I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, what really makes something an action movie? And I started thinking, what makes an action movie first? So if it's more of, if the word adventure or sci-fi or thriller or something like that, fantasy came to mind before action, I no longer put it in contention.
I agree.
It had to be primarily, not that it had to only be, but it had to be mostly or firstly an action movie. And anything that came after that was great. It was fine, but you won't find anything like Raiders of the Lost Ark on my mountain, which I've said countless times is my favorite action movie because I think of it mostly as an adventure movie. You won't find anything like The Empire Strikes Back on my mountain because I think of it mostly as, well, you should really stop talking to me right now because it's mostly a sci-fi movie. So that's how I went with it. Whether it was cheesy, whether it was funny, whether it was bloody or whatever it was primarily action.
All right. DJ, how'd you make your selection?
Well, I kind of thought similar along the lines as he did. I found it to be a lot harder than I thought because there were a lot of movies that I thought were action movies, which, as you said, based on your criteria, were not. And The Empire Strikes Back was definitely one of them. And I also wanted to think a little bit outside of the box because when you think action movies in the 80s, you're automatically going to think, Arnold, Sylvester, and all the franchises that come with it. You're going to think of Lethal Weapons. You're going to think of Beverly Hills Cop. So
Junior,
which are all great movies.
Stop it, my mom will shoot. We get it.
Which are all great movies. It's not a tumor. Which are all great movies, but I wanted to think a little bit outside of the box. Although some of mine are in the box. But with what you said in terms of is it action first? I think it also depends on perception because I know there's some of mine. There's one movie in particular that you may think, no, it's not action, it's adventure. You may think, no, it's drama. You may think, no, it's comedy. But I see it as action because it has some great action scenes. So we'll see. But it was a lot harder than I thought. I thought I was going to have 4 movies in like 2 seconds. And then I was like, shit, I don't. This is more work than I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had the opposite problem where I very quickly had like 30 movies on my list. I'm like, how the fuck am I going to get this down to 4?
I made my list like 10 minutes ago. Just mainly because...
Yeah, you had a couple days advance notice. By
I
the way.
did.
Okay, just
I
making sure
did.
to the listener.
Correct.
Nero's always telling them last minute. I'm like,
No. He gave me time. There was only one that was for sure making my list. You're probably not gonna be able to tell which one. The shirt I'm wearing, but
The Pink Panthers, an action movie.
Table. It's the return of the Pink Panther.
Right, so-
but I was telling these guys before we started recording. To me, it's very hard to have a wrong answer in this category because all these action movies, they range from actually critically acclaimed and fantastic in their own right to they're at 15% on Rotten Tomatoes, but they're still amazing for an
classics,
80s kid growing up. You know, I'm a couple years younger than you, not much. And I remember growing up watching these movies as a kid. We shouldn't have been watching these movies as 6 or 7 year olds, but we were.
Thank God for parents that don't speak English. Am I right?
Yep.
Thank God.
It's funny you say that because in the last podcast, I think you and I talked that I was like a 5-6-year-old kid, and I used to watch the Charles Bronson movies hidden from my parents. And it took me years to recover from the rape scene in Death Wish.
Yeah.
I mean, it traumatized me.
Yeah, but they didn't care. They were like, "It's
Wait, was it the rape scene in Death Wish or was it the rape scene in Death Wish 2?
The one in the kitchen. The one in the kitchen, she gets impaled. Whatever that was.
Oh, that one is Death Wish 2, actually.
Okay, well, there we go.
Where it moves into the bedroom afterwards. That's intense. That was an intense one.
But yeah, so I just went with
Not like those vanilla rape scenes. This one was intense.
yeah. Oh God, Jesus
The way you said it. That one was intense. Oh, really? As opposed to the other one was just, your garden variety rape scene.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
If
You could really see in the eyes. It was in the eyes in this scene.
If I can comment on something you said, I think there's only one sort of wrong answer for this, and that's if a movie's boring. The only kind of action movie that I don't like is an action movie that is boring.
Okay.
I think any other kind of action, whether it's cheesy, whether it's campy, whether it's bloody, or whether it's just fun, or whether it's thought provoking, like it's all good as long as you're keeping me interested. The moment I start checking my phone, or I guess back in the day, the moment that I start considering to turn on my Game Boy, now you're no longer a good answer for a good action movie.
I put a couple self restrictions on me. One was that it had to be first and primarily an action movie. I don't agree with the adventure tag because I think adventure is a form of action. Because you could, that's to me saying like, it has to be an action movie, not a war movie. I'm like, well, that the two are not mutually exclusive, I think. So the adventure tag is the only thing that I wouldn't agree with, but I agree in the sense of if it's a comedy, if you think of it as a comedy first, to me that's not an action movie. That's a comedy movie that also has action in it. And same thing goes for dramatic movies and so on and so on, sci-fi movies. But to me, that had to be first and foremost an action movie, and then I limited myself to one movie per actor. So there's multiple. If there's an actor that has multiple action movies with a Roman numeral at the end of it, it doesn't matter.
Right. Okay.
Right. So that's the limitation I made. It was only primarily just to make it easier for myself. Just to be like, well, I love these two. Which one do I? Well, you could only go with one, so you can't.
It's very easy for this to be an all Stallone mountain or an all Schwarzenegger mountain or an all Chuck Norris mountain or something.
Yeah, that was my kind of like obstacle as well, because exactly you could have easily put all those people on there and there would have been great movies, or the Lethal Weapon series, all that on there, and that's it, call it a day. But
Yep. You're right.
All right, so number 4, Dave, what do you have for your number 4?
All right, so my number 4, and this is like a last minute change that I've done here. My number 4 is actually It stars an actor that you and I share a mutual love for, and Charles Bronson in Death Wish 4.
Okay.
So, damn it. Death
I thought we were gonna get to talk about the rape scene again. Damn, it just missed out.
Death Wish 4.
Is it because that was in the 70s? The rape scene ones?
So the first Death Wish was in the 70s. It was like mid 70s.
Right.
And then there was this big hiatus. And then the Canon Group, of course, right? Because it's 80s, right? The Canon Group buys the Death Wish franchise. And they basically have Charles Bronson on retainer. So the two guys that they had basically driving their major action movies were Charles Bronson and Chuck Norris.
Right.
So they start pumping out these movies with Bronson. And we get Death Wish 2, and I think it's like 1982. And then we get Death Wish 3 shortly after that. And each one becomes, like, the second one was still fairly serious. It was trying to take itself seriously. The third
Tell
one...
me about it.
The third one kind of just said... Nah, fuck it. We're going to go in like a ridiculous direction. And he basically goes to war with like a whole neighborhood in New York, a gang, right? And then the fourth one, which is the one that's on my list, he goes to war with drugs, right? So this is like purely like Reagan era,
Right, Reagan.
war on drugs.
Exactly.
So he gets, do you remember this one?
Vaguely. I know which one you're talking
So
about. But
they alternate.
it didn't traumatize me as like the second part.
No, this one is actually the fun one, quote unquote fun one. There's no rape, right? There's no
rape the drugs?
Yeah,
You
you can't rape the drugs.
Take that, cocaine. You want that?
Jesus Christ.
That
This is
powder's
taking the
extra white
worst.
now.
Oh my God, this has started on the worst. We can only go up from here, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
cocaine.
He murders he murders a drug dealer because the daughter of his girlfriend overdoses on drugs and dies. She was with her boyfriend at the time, and so he follows the boyfriend to this roller rink / video arcade, right? Which of course is very 80s, right? And so while there, the drug dealer that the boyfriend is confronting kills him because he knows that he's about to talk. Because apparently the drugs were laced with something else, right? And so Bronson chases that guy down and he kills him, right? But after that happens, he's not able to get any information. Some guy who is like this news magnate says, I heard about what happened. I heard that you were involved. I think that you're the perfect person to do a job for me. He says, well, what do you want? He goes, I want you to basically take out the 2 drug cartels that are running drugs into here. And Bronson says, well, of course. So he basically gives him an armory and he says, go to town. And he goes, he wages war against these 2 drug cartels. And when it's all said and done, he goes back to the guy who set him up for this, and it was all a lie. The guy is a third drug lord who was using Bronson to take out the competition. He tries to murder Bronson.
Yeah.
Of course, Bronson is unkillable, right?
Of course.
As a like 70-year-old
be.
man,
Science.
right? As a 70-year-old man, he's
He's got that
unkillable.
old man strength.
Yeah, it's the old man strength. And then so it's got one of the greatest like finales of any ridiculous action movie where there's a huge shootout at the video arcade where like Pac-Man machines are blowing up and like it's just fucking crazy. There's neon everywhere.
A lot of slow motion.
Right? A lot of slow motion. The glass from the screens is going all over the place. And as with any Death Wish movie, Paul Kersey cannot get a happy ending, right? So when what happens
Because he's not
happens,
an Asian massage
right?
parlor? He's not
When
white?
what happens, right? And like there's nothing else he can do about it. He literally blows up the bad guy with a fucking rocket launcher. And that's the way the movie ends. It is so fucking satisfying. It's so good. And I love Charles Bronson. He's
See, you say these words to describe what you're describing, and it's not what you're describing. Like he blows. He couldn't figure out what to do, so he blows him up with a rocket launcher.
Okay, I've always
It's so satisfying. Like, what the fuck?
yeah, man. He's just been used and abused. And
I've always
left to the
wondered for
dogs.
many years seriously, I'm not talking like in a kitsch way or whatever. The appeal of Charles Bronson.
I can't explain it.
because
I'm the same way,
He
man.
wasn't a particularly athletic man,
Or
it's not like
good-looking.
or good looking. It's not like he was a stud or
wasn't
anything.
charismatic.
He
He
was
wasn't
in
either.
really good shape though.
He wasn't charismatic.
Yeah, but he wasn't-
Even until like the day he died, the guy was rocking a 6-pack.
Yeah, but I don't. I don't
Yes.
I mean, he may have, but I didn't see him as like this athletic.
No,
like
he
he,
was-
could
he-
do these, performances and these kicks and all that. But yet the guy, I don't know, was an action.
had a career.
He had a career.
Yeah.
Somehow.
I think he was just one of those guys that happened to be in the right place in the right time. Like it took him a long time to become leading man status.
Right. Where there are not a lot of actors like at that time.
I feel the same way about Chuck Norris. To be honest with you, I'm like, I get it that he actually knew martial arts.
Yeah.
But he's not charismatic. Definitely not charismatic on screen. And then his acting is. I'm like, I don't get what the like.
But can anybody else do a roundhouse kick?
Well, some guy in Brussels has something to say about that. But that was 20
See,
years
but
later.
he's charismatic, but I don't think that Chuck Norris ever played the charismatic character. He was always a little more broody.
He did in Sidekicks.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, yeah. I'll give you that.
Also, he played himself, so the range that this actor shows.
I mean, he was charismatic in Dodgeball.
Okay,
but so was Lance Armstrong.
But now,
and we know how that turned out.
But now you're talking about him playing a caricature of himself instead of playing
his
a role. So,
So
yeah, I can't explain it either. All I know is that I buy into the Charles Bronson thing. I know it took him a long time to become a leading man. He was basically part of an ensemble forever, whether it was in the Battle of the Bulge or it was The Great Escape or Magnificent Seven. Like he always played second fiddle to somebody,
Right.
You know, and usually not even second fiddle. He was somewhere buried deep in
the chorus. He was a chorus line.
Yeah, he was a chorus line guy, and he was always great wherever he was, at least in my opinion. But it wasn't until the early 70s that he kind of broke into this like I can carry a movie sort of thing.
Well, he did. A lot of people really like him.
His 80s movies to me are the most ridiculous because he was still, I think, trying to do serious action movies in the 70s, but the stuff he did in the 80s is just ludicrous, and I love it all the more for it.
Chuck Norris when he was with the cop, Top Dog. That's another one where he was charismatic as shit.
Even then, not as charismatic as
the
the
dog. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
I think you might have forgotten Forest Warrior with the bear. The fucking. Oh my god, never mind. That was so
When your
bad.
career's going downhill that they only put you with animals. All right,
Yeah.
so number 4 is Death Wish 4. 16 minutes.
Not all that was my fault.
16 minutes.
Sorry, 14
DJ.
minutes.
All right, so number 4 on
You know
my
what? I'll
list.
give you 6. 10 minutes. I'll give you fucking
number
6.
4 on my list, which I did not have on my list until a few minutes ago, but I put it back on my list, is Tango and Cash.
Wow, that's
Great
a surprise and
fucking pick.
amazing.
Great fucking pick, man.
First time I'm hearing this.
You know what? It critics hated the movie. I don't know what the Rotten Tomato score is.
FYI, you're going to learn that in this podcast, we all love everything critics hate. That's the thing.
Good. So do I.
And I love
Fuck critics.
shitty horror movies and shit. Like I can appreciate the shittiness of a film. So
My favorite movies drive angry, so
it's fucking awful.
So I mean, I just thought, Kurt Russell, Stallone. I mean, what is? And actually, people always forget that Terry Hatcher is in that movie.
Yes,
right.
Yeah.
Stallone's
And
sister.
she was, gorgeous, and it's just
33%.
of 33%.
Yeah.
It's higher than I thought it would be.
Actually, yeah, I thought it would be in the teens. But that movie's a lot of fun. It's quintessential 80s. Like everything is really big and exaggerated. And Kurt Russell, I mean, I feel he was like on a streak in the late 80s, early 90s. Bird on a Wire. You guys seen that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holding On?
Yeah.
that's
That
not
movie's-
Kurt Russell. That's Mel
That's Mel
Gibson.
Gibson.
I'm sorry, Mel Gibson. And Bird on a Wire?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was Mel Gibson.
Mel
I
Gibson.
thought it was Kurt Russell.
No.
Shit.
They look the
it's been a
same
while.
because they're
It's
both
been-
white.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
The one he did with Goldie Hawn is Overboard.
Overboard.
Yeah.
Overboard. That's the one with the kids, the rotten kids.
Yeah.
That one. No, but Tango and Cash, I really enjoy that movie. I actually have that movie on DVD.
Me too.
I'm not ashamed to say it.
I'm with you, bro.
I have it in my Apple iTunes.
I have
it in
account.
iTunes,
I
yeah.
don't know
That movie.
why- you don't have to.
That movie is, to me, has two of the bigger, not bigger, two of the biggest, because Kurt Russell had a lot of movies in the 80s too.
Yeah.
Action stars that were
Yeah.
going on in the 80s
Yeah.
in a movie together. and it had the great interaction between the two of them. You had the Strace Lace one versus the wild card.
The courtroom scene. What is it? Fuck. What is it? He says, "Fuck everything."
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah. That courtroom scene was awesome. I don't have too much preparation for it because this was in my list.
And
That's how you feel.
the villain was Jack. What's his name?
I have it here. But it was the old man.
The old man from City Slickers.
Yes.
Jack
played Curly.
Jack Palance.
Jack
Yeah.
Palance. Yeah.
And then it had that one bad
always
guy that
plays
they
a
called
bad
him
guy.
Face, that he looked like his face was entirely swollen. The prisoner.
Yeah.
That they like busted his nose.
Yeah.
And then he gets like electrocuted in the when they're doing that scene when they're escaping the prison.
That's a great scene,
And
man.
they're swinging across with
their belts.
With the belts.
I haven't seen this in so long. I really need to watch this again.
Dude,
For some reason, I feel like there was a number of years where it was always on TV.
Yeah, it was.
And I was always watching it on TV.
in like the early 90s.
Yeah.
It was always on TV.
Stallone didn't want to do this movie, and they kept offering him money, and they kept throwing money. They changed directors 4 fucking times in this movie.
It was like rewritten.
who
like,
ended up
script
directing
It
and-
was rewritten over and over again. It ended up
Check it
being
out.
Stallone
I have it open.
with somebody else, but it was like it was because they were like during production. He had so many problems that he was like, all right, yeah, I'll do it. Who's that?
Andrea Devakashvili. It's Andrea Konk-Alasvosky and Albert Magnoli.
Yeah.
Shit,
have
how
no
did
idea
it
who
make
these
some,
guys
that
are.
was a major.
Oh, but you know who-
slip
you know
of
who
mine.
did the
That
score?
Mel Gibson. Sorry, I was thinking of Burn on a Wire. I'm like, shit, how did I confuse that?
You know who did the score was Harold Faltermeyer.
Harold. Good old Harold.
Classic Harold.
Classic Harold. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, man. You made that seem
Bro,
like
Beverly Hills Cop.
You said it like
He did the score for Beverly Hills
yeah,
Cop.
but you said it like it was supposed to be like bro, John Williams. Like it's supposed to like I was like, oh,
Okay, I realized, yeah. Okay,
Harold fucking-
Ese tipo no es un John Williams.
Oh, eso no tipo no.
So-
un Hasuma, I'm un Hasuma ahí, bro.
So one of the directors,
He also did the score for 48 Hours.
Yes, he did.
the director with
I
the,
know because it's
No.
the same exact
No.
fucking score.
Silvestri.
Was that Sylvester?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think 48 Hours was Silvestri.
All right, go ahead.
So Konk-Alasvosky didn't really do anything else besides Tango and Cash.
he didn't really even do that. It was one of those things because the movie throughout production had like
Right.
3 or 4 different
He did the
directors.
Nutcracker, but in 2009.
Yes.
But the other one did Purple Rain.
Right.
He was a director for Purple Rain.
Which that movie was horrific.
What?
That's the first time I saw boobs.
Is it?
Really? Purple
Yeah,
Rain?
Purple Rain.
I think the first time I saw boobs on TV, you talking about on TV or in person? Because in person is my
Well,
mom.
when I saw that movie for the first time when I was 7, so
But I saw my mom's boobs when I was like 4 or 5.
okay,
My-
not counting your mother.
Yeah, yeah.
My number one is where I saw boobs for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Where I saw boobs for the first time, I think was Hamburger University, if I'm not mistaken.
What the fuck?
Or Porky's.
Porky's was
That's
great.
probably
Yeah.
my-
No, but it's around the same time frame. But it was all those raunchy 80s movies with
Yeah.
like titties for no reason.
Yeah.
And you're like, thank you.
Oh no, James Horner did the music for 48 Hours.
There you go. All right, so so Attack on the Cast
It's a
is
great
amazing.
pick. I love that movie.
We love this movie. We love this.
Good.
When you have Sylvester Stallone calling Rocky a pussy on screen,
Gold.
go. Why? I like the back and forth between them.
Yeah,
That's the best part of the movie.
They
Yeah.
play off
the
each other
banters-
well.
They play off each other really well. In fact, I'm really disappointed that they haven't. Have they done another movie together? I don't remember another movie with them.
Tango and Cashier.
And it was
You know what? I'm
Tango and
seriously-
Cashier's Check.
Seriously, I'm surprised that movie didn't do well. It did well in the box office, but it didn't do critically better because I think it is a decent movie.
Ultimately, the only thing that really matters for a movie is that it make money,
Yeah,
and it did that.
yeah, it did.
yeah. Star Wars movies proved that.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
No, you're right.
But I'm
you're
right.
right
I'm
about
telling
that.
you,
You're
like,
right
there's
about that.
Star
I
Wars
hate
movies-
that you're right about that, but you are.
But Star Wars movies are the main. That's why they start churning them out once a year because
We really need a Han Solo spin-off.
See,
We didn't. However, it ended up being better than both of the episodes that have come out.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
I will.
Well, Rogue One, you wouldn't count there. Rogue One was badass, but
Rogue One is one of the best movies I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you should watch movies.
Stare me down. Stare me down, Nary.
You should watch
try
movies.
some
You should start watching movies every once in a while from like this decade, not from 1940 Japan. Right?
Ain't nothing wrong with watching Rashomon 4 times in a row.
Of course not. All right, so Attack on the Cash.
great pick.
Jeff.
I'm gonna keep on the Kurt Russell train,
Ooh.
and I am putting Big Trouble in Little China
Love
nice.
it.
Nice.
Love it.
because you've got action, you've got comedy, you've got sci-fi, you've got the grandpa from Three Ninjas,
You got Kim Cattrall.
Kim Cattrall.
Kim
yes.
Cattrall,
You've got Lassie. Yeah.
Lassie, You got, you know, it's
She was stunning in that fucking movie.
I think that is her at her hottest.
I mean, her that and Mannequin, but absolutely.
Mannequin, that's right.
Fucking, come on.
Yeah, but I like the heavy eyeshadow that they put on her in this one. I like
it brings out her eyes. It brings out her blue eyes. Yeah.
It's just a.
This is the gayest straight talk I've ever had in my life. The eyeshadow brings out her blues in her eyes. It is amazing. You're like, all right. It's like we're still talking about chicks, but like in the like weirdest way.
It's just, to me, it's just such a fun movie. Tango Cash. Wow, Big Trouble in Little China.
You're not wrong. You weren't wrong.
Right, I wasn't wrong on that one either. But Big Trouble in Little China, you've got the charismatic lead, Jack Burton, with the cool. Like, I love his fucking name. Like,
that shirt is amazing,
dude. That tank top is fucking great, and it's tucked in with the boots,
of course,
with the dagger. Like, but and then
as awesome as he looks, his devil may care attitude is like the best thing.
It's the best. There was like one line, and he's got one-liners throughout, which is part of the quintessential thing for an action movie. He's got the one-liners throughout, and it's just fantastic. Like, just like, if we're not here in 10 or 15 minutes, call the president. It's like, okay, all right, truck driver. But it's just, you've got the Lo Pan, who's
He's so good.
such a great villain. James Hong. Is it James
I
Hong?
think it's Hong, maybe.
I think it's Hong.
That he's also
The guy from R.I.P.D. You know him.
Yeah, the guy from R.I.P.D. He's in Tango and Cash also, I believe.
And Missing in Action.
I don't think he's in Tango and Cash. I'll look it up.
Look it up. But it's just, to me, it's
he's
just
that guy that's not Mr. Miyagi or the grandfather from the Three Ninjas
Well, but the
that
grandpa-
you've seen as the Chinese guy.
Yeah, the grandpa from Three Ninjas as the good sorcerer.
James Hong.
It is Hong, right? Yeah.
Like, it's just a fun action
Blade
movie.
Runner.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
It's
he's
just a fun
the eye dealer.
action movie. It's just
Spoiler, bro.
yeah. I just absolutely love. If that's on TV, I stop and I watch it.
It's interesting because that's definitely one of those movies, going to about what you said of how you perceive it, because that movie's also hilarious.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like it's also a comedy. You can make an argument that it's a comedy and adventure as well. So I guess it's one of those like gray areas. Is it an action movie? But I mean, obviously, it's what you perceive.
Right.
I think think of it mostly as an action movie.
Yeah, and it's I think, for me at least, one of the most memorable scenes is when the guy blows up for no reason.
Oh yeah,
like he just.
Well, that was his fatality.
It was because it was
that
thunder,
movie was
rain,
clearly
and lightning, right?
That movie was clearly Mortal Kombat.
Right.
It's Mortal Kombat. They ripped
out
everything.
They all look like Raiden.
Yeah.
Raiden and Liu Kang and Liu Kang and what's his name was
that guy was awesome.
And Shang Tsung. I mean, the whole fucking thing is a ripped off. I mean, very close to Luke Cage. I'm like, who the fuck is that? What's happening? I watched that movie after Mortal Kombat. I was like, is this the original Mortal Kombat? What the fuck is happening? Like, why?
But I think it's just.
And you have the brilliant movie score of John Carpenter.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
To make it all that much better, because as amazing a director as he is, I think he's an even better.
I don't think he's an amazing director. I think he's a really amazing musician. He's
that is his best quality.
Yeah,
hands
absolutely.
down.
I don't think he's an amazing director.
No, well, you can.
Whatever.
And it actually has a good rating. It actually has a 78% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Right.
So it's critically liked.
Yeah. When you think about how ridiculous it is, it's kind of odd that it would have that high score. When Tango and Cash, which is more of like a grounded action.
I will say this about Tango and Cash. Though, again, as much as I love it, I own the movie on multiple formats. But I will say this: that the story does have a lot of plot holes. Where you go, "What the fuck?" Like when you watch a movie again,
and also the expectation, because you had two of the biggest movie stars at that time, so you were expecting something that was like gonna literally blow your socks off, and anything less than that.
But they had a special fucking tank, dude. That special SUV before SUVs were a thing. They had a fucking SUV, like
So wait, you're saying there's plot holes in action movies?
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying it's more. I'm saying the writing is better in Big Trouble in Little China. Again, I own
better dialogue too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's digress for a moment. Now you said SUVs, and we're talking about movies. Was the first time you ever saw an SUV in a movie in Jurassic Park?
The Jeep?
That's a Jeep. I don't know.
Yeah,
if-
they didn't get the SUVs until.
Was it the second one, the Explorer?
No, you know what? The Explorer wasn't the first.
In the first one, yeah. Because I was actually having a discussion
When
the
was
other day
Explorer?
with a friend of mine. The first Jurassic Park was what, 92?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, that he was saying something like SUVs really came about in like the late 90s. I'm like, dude, Jurassic Park, the Explorer was like a huge part of the Jurassic Park, and like that was the
remember
like
the Bronco?
92.
The Bronco was also technically was a SUV that the
in the OJ chase.
yeah.
Well, the Explorer was not the first SUV, but I felt like that was like a big thing of
movies.
that movie.
You're talking about a movie.
They like
Right,
really
right.
profiled it.
Right.
You might have a point.
And I remember the second one, it was like the Mercedes.
That was the Mercedes one, yeah.
SUV, yeah. So I guess that was a thing back then. Okay, sorry, digress.
But no, yeah. So Big Trouble in Little China is my number 4.
Big Trouble in Little China. All right. My number 4 is gonna go to RoboCop.
Ooh, unexpected.
Ooh, honorable mention.
That was going to be. on my
That's an
list.
honorable mention, so I'm going to strike it off so I can start whittling down my honorable mention list.
So number 4 is we have Death Wish 4.
You're not going to talk about RoboCop?
I think the listeners know RoboCop, but all right. RoboCop. I mean,
What
like
do you
it's,
like? I mean-
like it's what are we not gonna say about RoboCop? I don't remember the year, but I know it was in the 80s.
It was like 87.
I love this is the
87.
first like pick that you're just like RoboCop. All right.
Because it's
So-
like it's literally like
What's the most traumatizing thing from that movie? To you?
oh that guy blowing up, dude.
the
That
guy
guy
that fell in the acid.
with the acid.
Oh, yes.
That's so
Yes.
fucking traumatizing.
Yeah, arm chop. Was the axe in part 1 or 2?
The
Uh,
axe
there
was
was
the axe
no-
was part 2, but
there
they
was-
blow his hand off with
Yeah,
a
they-
shotgun.
That's
with a
what I'm
shotgun.
thinking of. In
Yeah.
He's grabbing on and then
Right.
and he's short. That wasn't traumatizing to me. It was traumatizing to me that guy like literally disintegrating.
Yeah, the acid.
because of
I
the
saw
acid.
that movie in the movie theater,
Yeah.
and I was probably like 7 or 8 years old. And that scene, I was like, shit. I was like, what the hell is that? Please remind me not to fall in acid.
mental note. I learned. DJ learned that day. Don't
That's-
fall in acid.
There are so many things from the 80s. There were so many things that throughout my entire life I anticipated dealing more with. I anticipated dealing a lot with acid.
Quicksand.
Quicksand is the other one. Where I'm like, be careful with quicksand. Everybody, lasers. I'm like, whoa, fucking lasers. Like 30 years I've been waiting for these 3 fucking things that happen, and they've never happened to me. Never. I'm like, never have I fucking seen quicksand in my life. Never. I'm like,
You even exist?
yeah. So, but yeah, that's RoboCop is, dude. I look, and I've been on this podcast before talking about how I felt that it was overrated, and as far as RoboCop, and I talked about how I love the remake, and that I like it more, and to this, I still think that's true. However, in the recent years, I've watched RoboCop again. I've rewatched it because I hadn't watched it maybe 10 years, and I rewatched it last year and the year before. And I do get more and more appreciation for it. I don't. There's and Dave, you're one of these that wax poetically about how the different meanings and what the different about the different levels to RoboCop and what it's saying about society. And I'm like, I don't see any of that, dude. I'm a fucking dumb.
I mean, Paul Verhoeven is known for that. Like all his movies have some sort of social commentary.
Yeah, I've heard him talk about since in the years since I've like YouTube like panels where he talks like poetically about the social injustices and what he was saying in this movie, and I was like, really?
I also think a lot of it, I don't know if he did it on purpose, but it was set in Detroit, right?
Yeah.
And I think it was very much a reflection, obviously exaggerated for a movie, of Detroit at that time, from the poverty to the crime
Right.
and all that. Obviously with a futuristic tone. So I mean, I definitely see the social commentary behind it.
Like I see it when you point it out to me, but I never watch that movie. Go, nah.
Right, I think you could
what
watch
I
it.
did see is I did see how the
Right.
corrupt government can, like, that fucking acid guy got blown up. Like that's all I'm leaving the movie theater with the acid
It all
guy in my
depends on
head.
the perspective in which you watch it. And
Right.
yeah, you can watch it as a straight action movie and not think about that, and it's fine.
Even as a straight action movie, I think it's fantastic. That
I mean, especially Effects of the Time do really hurt it.
And there's and you've got the classic one-liner. Dead or alive.
That's one of the greatest. I mean, we could do a whole mountain on action one-liners, and that's one of the greatest ones.
The first time, is it the first time that you
Dead or
see
alive, you
RoboCop
come with me, creep.
that
Call him a creep. That's like a fucking
where
50s insult.
He shoots the guy between the
dick.
woman's leg.
Yeah.
That's the first guy he takes down, right?
No,
No, it's not.
no, it's another one before that.
Oh, okay.
But it's fine.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been like 2 or 3 years since I've seen it.
And that score.
But, the score.
Come on, that fucking theme is amazing.
Bum 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 bum. It's really good.
Yeah, it's really good. I love everything about it. But again, I think the things that hold it back are like the effects of the time. The ED 100 was it?
Yeah, the EDS 1000 or whatever it is.
something like
Yeah.
that. And I mean, it's just like the stop motion is like, ugh, Jesus, this is fucking brutal to watch.
Yeah.
In 2000, something. But
I'm sure it looked great at the time.
I'm sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you compare it to Justice League, it probably looks.
Well, I
amazing.
mean, if you compare anything, it's just-
Yeah, well,
I have a
mustache
Yeah.
versus that thing.
Jesus Christ, that ED at least looks real. But that's plausible. That's plausible.
That
I wonder if they stop motioned flesh over the mustache if it looked any better.
Isn't that what they did? I thought that's what they did. I thought they got unused scenes from Frosty the Snowman, and they fucking put it over Henry Cavill's face.
that makes total sense.
No, but I'm a big fan, and to the point. I mean, when I was a kid, dude, I remember, and we're talking about like all of these action movies. I acted out as a kid. Mm-hmm. And RoboCop was, nothing less than me walking like a robot through my entire house for fucking months, dude. And my mom,
dead or alive,
Yeah.
you're coming with me. Get to me!
yeah, my mom. I love my mom. I'm thinking about my mom watching her 6-7-year-old kid walk like a robot.
Did you do the whole like?
Yeah, I did the whole turn thing and the whole thing, and just the fact that she never goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" God bless her. You know what I mean? And she never stunted my imagination. She was just like, and she never like played along with me. She was never like, "Oh, I'm dead," but she was always like, "Do your thing." Like I was having internal dialogue with myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she fucking didn't like. She's like, all right.
But you didn't encounter any acid.
No,
Obviously,
no
your
acid,
reenactments.
no acid.
Okay.
That's good.
Good.
That's good.
No mutagen.
Good. Yeah.
None of that shit. So
My introduction to RoboCop was actually the original Nintendo game.
okay. I mean, I saw the movie first, but yeah.
Yeah. I saw.
Well, it came out the year I was born, so I didn't see it until later. But I had the game. I was like, oh, we'll play.
Yeah, again, another movie I shouldn't be watching at that age.
Yeah, no.
It's so weird.
And I saw it young. I think I saw it
Rape
maybe
scene,
at like 6 or
when
7.
I was
but
5,
I was
you're
still,
okay.
Yeah. You know, you want to laugh? My daughter today put on the original Ninja Turtles, 1990 Ninja Turtles,
Yeah.
and part 1 is more of a serious movie,
Yeah.
more of a darker tone than part 2, because she's seen part 2 a billion times. But she put on part 1, she picked it by herself, and there was a moment where I was like, is this too much for her? Like, is this gonna be? And then I was like, I fucking saw RoboCop when I was 6 years old. I think she'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think she'll be fine. And but yeah, it is pretty. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty iconic. The gun inside the leg. I mean,
Oh,
that fucking
so cool.
twirling the gun. I mean, I thought that was so fucking good. But anyways, so that's my pick. My number 4 is RoboCop. So for number 4s, we have Death Wish 4, Tango and Cash, Big Trouble in Little China, and RoboCop. Kind of surprised nobody tabled RoboCop, to be honest. But all right. Number 3, David.
Was an honorable mention.
My number 3, I'm pretty sure, is going to be tabled, and it's Die Hard.
Table.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right.
I was gonna put that one actually. I was like my number 2, but, my number 3 is. This is one of those that again, it could be a drama, it's a war movie. It's Casualties of War. Have you guys seen that one?
I don't think I've ever
with
seen
Sean Penn
With Sean Penn.
and Michael
Was that
J. Fox.
was that in the 80s?
That was 87, I believe.
Okay.
So Casualties of War.
I remember. I recognize that
Yeah.
name.
I know that I know the movie. I just thought it
Sean
was
Penn,
later.
Michael J. Fox, they're in Vietnam, so it's one of these dark,
Yes.
apocalyptic Vietnam movies that everything goes to shit.
Yeah, because you
And-
never see the fucking comedy in Vietnam.
no musical numbers
Yeah.
in Vietnam.
John C.
That would be
Reilly.
so fucking good.
Yeah, and so basically, the platoon is stuck in Vietnam, and shit starts to go. Yeah, he was probably in his 20s, and
Yeah.
when he did that movie,
Yeah, he looks super young in this.
And they get this Vietnamese girl, and they rape her, and they all take turns raping her, of course, except Mike. I call him Alex P. Keaton, but
Right.
Michael J. Fox. And there's a very dramatic scene where they ultimately kill the girl. Sean Penn kills her, and I remember I saw that movie as well as a kid. And I remember thinking, I fucking hate Sean Penn. For years, I hated the guy because he's such a prick in the movie. Like, he's terrible. But the movie actually is really critically acclaimed, and it's I feel that for like the Vietnam genre, because I feel Vietnam movies could be a genre on itself.
Yeah.
It's not one of the more widely known movies, and it is a great film. And I mean, obviously, there's a lot of action scenes in it, and a lot of war scenes, obviously. But you know, Sean Penn, love him or hate him, he's freaking fantastic in the movie.
Why would you
that I
hate
hated
him?
the guy.
Well, you hated him because he was a good actor.
Yeah,
Because he made you believe.
well, you know, I was like 8 or 9
No,
years
I get it.
old.
I understand. Yeah, totally.
And this poor girl, like,
I fucking hated. I hated Dolph Lundgren for years. That was a fucking commie bastard. All right. It took me a fucking long time to be like, oh. And even then, it was when Expendables came out. And I was like, all right.
yeah.
We're on the same team now? All right.
All right. I'm watching you, though.
All right. Yeah.
Because he's one of these guys, you know, that's like, as we say in Spanish, tremendo hijo de puta. Like, his face, like in this movie, I mean, he's freaking nuts. And
Well, look at his face on the poster.
yeah, that's pretty much it. And you know, Michael J. Fox is Michael J. Fox. He's a hero and the good guy, but whatever. I mean, it's all about
Just a little shaky.
Oh, fuck.
What? What? I meant that he was young and naive and his character. God, you guys.
What he meant was that there's a very famous scene when they're on a bridge and the bridge was shaky.
It's shaky.
That's what you meant.
Yes, that's what I meant.
Okay.
So casualties of war. What? You know,
I gotta watch this. It's Brian De Palma. I'm a
Yeah,
fan.
Brian De
I'm
Palma.
a fan of
it's
De Palma.
not a feel good movie of the year.
Well, you know
Unless
what?
you're into that sort of thing.
I watched Platoon like 5 years ago, and I hadn't seen it in forever. And even then, when I had seen it 10, 15 years earlier, it was in bits and pieces. And I sat down and watched Platoon like 5 years ago, and I was like, man, this is so fucking heavy. Like, I was so... I didn't remember, or I didn't acknowledge, I just... You know, one of those things that you just take for granted, how heavy of a movie Platoon was. And Casualties of War is right up that same alley where you're like, oh my God.
Because I think that, especially with Vietnam movies, as you become older and you understand Vietnam and you see the movies, now you have a perspective of it. And it's like, shit, you know, it's not a fun time.
Yeah. No, and I think that the directors in the 80s were trying to convey that. They were trying to convey
it was a lot more recent.
They were trying to convey to the public, like, hey, this wasn't fucking shits and giggles. We should have never have been. Like, they have strong.
It had been long enough where like it was okay to talk about it now,
right?
Because you're talking about like 10 years have passed, but it's still in the public consciousness because you're still getting talk about like
still recent enough that there was direct consequences.
Hostages still left over there, right? And hearing about these guys who were committing suicide, because they can't get their lives together after they come home. So I gotta watch this.
Yeah, great movie.
I love the fact that you're like, you say the most depressing shit ever, and then you go, yeah, I gotta watch it. Like, these guys kill themselves.
He's gonna make an afternoon of it. He's gonna watch Death Wish 1, 2, and then this movie.
Yeah, just to keep the rape marathon going.
Yeah.
Please don't.
What's the time of that?
And then you could
timestamp.
And then you could end it with a Nicholas Sparks movie.
Yeah, just a palate cleanser.
That's gonna be
one movie that the guy doesn't die.
When we remake the intro. That's gonna be And
Let's keep
David,
the rape marathon going.
that's it.
We found his new one.
Please don't do that.
Goodbye, career.
You could you could email your complaints to rapelover94 at AOL.com.
Okay.
Oh, is that too far? Was that too much?
Oh, that was
too much?
excessive. I'm sorry,
Jeff.
All right, so my number 3 is a little bit.
I wonder if somebody actually goes to that email. Would it be great?
I'm going to send a strongly worded email to this person.
Some guy named like Todd or something.
Yeah.
Like Missouri's like, why do I keep getting this guy David's emails? What's going on here? I don't know why he speaks that way.
All right, Dave, from Missouri.
From Missouri, out of all places.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, if he's on AOL, he's probably over 40.
And everyone knows that people over 40 live in Missouri, right?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm moving there next year. I'll let you know.
Oh, wow. Yeah?
No.
No. What are the chances? All right.
Yeah, what are the odds that you picked a state DJ's movie to?
No.
So my number 3, I'm going to the Far East for this one, and it is Police Story by Jackie Chan.
Honorable mention for me.
This movie The premise of it's the classic. He's a cop. He gets he takes down a drug kingpin. Has to protect the secretary of said drug kingpin because she's going to testify against him. Case gets thrown out. Kingpin now frames the Jackie Chan's character for the murder of another investigator. So now Jackie Chan,
who was in his pocket,
correct,
right?
So then now Jackie Chan's trying to clear his name and trying to, get this guy back. Now there's a lot
Meanwhile, protect the witness that is going to testify against him.
Now there's some really cool action scenes.
Is this not? Are you not describing Rush Hour? It seems a lot like Rush Hour and protecting the witness and the whole. Okay,
right. But Police Story came out in 1980.
It's also a joke.
Yeah, I know. I know. It was fine.
It wasn't exactly Rush Hour. Rush Hour was the niece of a.
Yeah. So, but there's a really cool car chase in it.
Amazing car chase.
Yeah. There's some.
That's the one with the bus, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that the one? Is that the one with him in the yellow jumpsuit? We talked about this. Did we talk about this?
No, that
you're
was
thinking Bruce Lee and Game of
No,
Death.
I'm not talking about Bruce.
No,
Lee.
there was a Jackie Chan movie that he had an orange jacket.
And then they had a ladder scene.
Yeah.
Oh no, Rumble in the Bronx.
No.
No. It
False.
was the one with the aquarium. There was an aquarium in it. I'm trying to remember the name. Operation Condor?
Maybe. Go ahead. 'Cause I'll look it up.
I remember him in like a black jumpsuit
For Operation Condor. So I'm trying to think of what it is.
Go ahead.
But anyway, so it's a really cool story. The big sell of the movie is the final.
Are you thinking Super Cop?
Maybe.
It might be Super Cop.
Yeah.
Is the final scene.
Yeah, these are like some of the most death-defying stunts that you and I had talked about this movie. I don't know.
The famous ladder scene in First Strike.
First
okay.
Strike. That's
All
the
right.
one that he's okay.
You and I had talked about this movie maybe like 2 years ago, and you were like, "Oh, you got to watch this movie." I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna get right on it." I didn't get right on it.
Right.
And when we discussed doing this, I was like, "Fuck, I didn't get right on it. I need to watch this." So I saw this last night for the first time.
What?
Yeah, I had never seen Police Story. Oh my fucking god! Like the stunts were crazy, and the one you're talking about at the end, where he from the top floor of like a 4-story mall. Fucking
maybe even higher.
Younger Jackie Chan. Imagine that.
Yeah,
he
slides down this.
yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Through First Strike. Okay.
He slides down this pole from the top, and he does the stunt.
Yeah, dragging all of these lights with him, and all the lights are bursting, and there's like fucking like electrical sparks flying everywhere. It's one of the most impressive things you've ever seen.
Yeah, and it's a cool movie. It's got really cool action scenes. I've always loved Jackie Chan.
I'm just thinking about the scene you're describing, and I'm just thinking about Jackie Chan sliding down, and I'm thinking of the soundtrack. It's like, this boy is on fire. like just all those sparks flying. Like, yeah.
This summer.
But it's definitely one of those, because Jackie Chan is not a good actor, but that man can. Well,
You want to talk about charisma though?
that guy,
He's got it.
not only is he charismatic and he can sing, but that guy can organize a stunt like nobody's business.
Yeah.
There's a couple really good comedic sequences in there. Like, I don't know if you remember the one with the phone.
Yes.
Where he's in the police precinct after he seemingly botches up the case, which of course he didn't. It's this drug kingpin that's trying to peg this all on him. He basically gets demoted, and he's answering phones in like this little town, police precinct, and he's juggling these 5 phones, and he keeps like fucking up which phone he's on. So like one woman says, "Oh, my husband beat me." His girlfriend calls like, "Oh, we're going out to have dinner with my mom." Some other woman calls and she's like, "Oh, I've been raped." Another guy says, "My cow's been stolen." And he's trying to talk to all these people at the same time. And he's like, "Okay, so when did you say you were raped?" And he's like, "No one raped my cow." And then like someone else chimes in and "Okay, so did you say your husband beat you? You beat your husband?" She was like, "No, he raped me. Why are you making this worse now?" It's really funny, and then he starts hanging up on the wrong people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of comedy like that. And of course, it's all physical because
it's Jackie Chan. But yeah, I think it's a definite watch that if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. So it's Police Story.
Okay. Police Story. All right. So my number 3 is one of the staples in the 80s genre, and is one of the movies that has been what's that word I'm looking for? Where like you remember when a Matrix came out and everybody was doing like a Matrix type of thing, where they're
Most influential?
influential, I would say, yeah.
The game changer.
I think it's a game changer. I think it was very influential, and most importantly, it still holds up. It might be the movie that holds up most in my list. Is the original Karate Kid.
Oh, it's a great
All
movie.
right.
That's my number
Okay.
3 because that was a coming of age story. That was, I mean, don't get me wrong, Daniel San is definitely the villain.
Right. Fact.
Definitely
He's
the
not-
villain.
he's- yeah.
yeah.
He's
He's
a bad
definitely the antagonizer.
Fact.
Gonna be a dick about it. Johnny was just trying to fucking talk to his girl. And gonna be a fucking dick
Fucking
about
hate.
it. But I legitimately love this
New
movie.
series, haven't you?
It's amazing.
I haven't even seen the whole thing. I've seen only two episodes, but I felt this way about John. Like if you go back and watch it, even as an adult, I haven't even watched the entire Cobra Kai series. I've only watched 2 episodes, the ones that were for free, and then, but for years I've rewatched the Karate Kid over and over again, and I love it. But I always think I'm like, just leave well enough alone. Just fucking leave. Stop. Like that scene in the Halloween party. Like when I'm like, just why? Why are you?
Yeah.
Why are you doing it? You're gonna get your ass kicked, and sure enough, he gets his fucking ass kicked, and you go, yeah, no,
You deserve that.
That's yeah. I mean, I don't think you deserve to get your ass kicked by 4 dudes, but yeah, I mean,
I this is one that I think of more of as a drama than an action movie, but like I mean it's a movie about martial arts. Like it's got plenty of action scenes in it.
yeah. I don't think it's a movie that's a drama at all, really. I mean, not saying that there's no drama, and I'm just thinking when I think about Karate Kid, I go, it's an action movie. But the score is fantastic. You're the best. No one gonna stop it now.
Oh, watch out! Somebody might mute this one too.
I love this movie though. This is one of those movies where as a kid I saw it and it gave me the love for martial arts that
And Elizabeth Shue?
that made me want to go out and study martial arts.
It did the same thing to me, except that we were poor, so that didn't happen. But I really wanted to. I'm like, I want to study martial arts, and then this movie was fantastic. I mean, you watched that whole training sequence when he finally puts together that Miyagi wasn't just making him a slave. It was like, oh shit, you've been teaching me something throughout. I mean, I thought that was fantastic.
There's some really iconic shots in this.
Yes,
Yeah, like we're talking about influential shots.
the crane kick,
The crane kick, yeah.
both at the beach and the final scene, the wax on, wax off.
But I also think that that's a movie that had a social impact because, I mean, everybody wanted to be him.
Yeah.
Even though he was an asshole, as you say, but everybody wanted to be him. And I mean,
I wanted a red hoodie because he had a red hoodie in that.
Yeah.
Like that's how fucking as a kid I was like, I need that sweater. I need that fucking. I never got it, but I'm saying I wanted it.
When I grew up and I had money and I saw a Cobra Kai hoodie, I bought it. And when I met the 3 of them at a con, I wore that shit.
Yeah.
And I looked at Ralph Macchio and I was like, no, I'm gonna stand next to him.
Ralph Macchio made a pact with the devil who until like recently looked 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in Dancing with the Stars, right, a few years ago, and he looked like it was still Daniel's son. And then the pact, apparently he broke the pact because it just all went to shit.
Like, had to happen sooner or later.
No. But I love this movie. So The Karate Kid, I would say it's a late entry in my list because it was one of those where I kind of had my top 7, and then I remember this one, and I was like, well, if I don't put this on my list, I will be cheating 9-year-old Neri out of this because I love this fucking movie so much.
It's quintessential 80s.
Yeah,
it's and a big cultural impact. And I mean, it's a classic.
I bought a Cobra Kai t-shirt literally like 2 months ago. So it wasn't like, oh, I bought it for this podcast. Like I was literally like, oh no, I have a Cobra Kai t-shirt. So
and I say it had like a cultural impact because I think it was one of like the first movies that, I mean, it was marketed. It was marketed general, had like a general market, but little boys like picked up on it, and from Halloween costumes to wanting to be the Karate Kid to spin-offs and all that.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
From a
How many
marketing
costumes have you seen of people with the skeleton hoodies?
yeah,
Like dressed like the skeletons with the hoods?
Yeah.
All over the place.
I love this fucking movie.
It's a great movie.
Love the movie. And the remake was great too with
Still
It
haven't
was.
seen
it was fantastic.
It was, yeah.
I still haven't seen it.
It's really great. It's really it rivals the original. Like it's really great.
I don't think it rivals the original, but it is good.
Well, he likes to dread, so
I didn't say it was a good movie. I said I like watching it.
right. Well. So number 3s are Die Hard, Casualties of War, Police Story, and The Karate Kid. Karate. All right, number 2.
My number 2 is The Road Warrior, Mad Max 2.
Oh, okay.
I knew this would be on your list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Not surprised.
I think the only time I've spoken about this movie on the podcast is when we did the Mel Brooks Mountain, or not
Yeah.
Mel Brooks, Mel Gibson.
No,
that would
how
be
weird would that have
No,
been?
it was the
right?
Mel Brooks Mountain.
Like, all right.
I'm the Road Warrior. Look out, evil! merchandising. You want this car? Get your humongous ski mask right here. I think the only time I've talked about it on the podcast is on the Mel Gibson episode, but privately, I have often talked about The Road Warrior as being one of my favorite action
I mean, I
movies.
watched it because of that. I watched Road Warrior. Was it this one? How many of them did I watch? 2?
There's 4.
I know I didn't watch Thunderdome.
That's my least favorite.
I watched Road Warrior for sure. That's the one with the kid, right? With the fucking kid that's an
No, it's
animal.
Waterworld.
Yes, yeah. also Waterworld.
Also
yeah, the little kid. Yeah,
The
that's
little kid. That's Road Warrior.
yeah. It's just one kid, right?
Yeah, it's just one kid.
Because Beyond Thunderdome has like a Lost
They're trying
Boys.
to do a
stuff.
I didn't see Beyond. I know I didn't see Beyond.
So then, yeah,
Thunderdome
it would've been
because I
that
didn't
one.
see Tina Turner.
Right. Okay.
So-
So yeah, it was.
She was in Beyond Thunderdome.
Yes.
She was like the main villain.
2 men enter, 1 man leave.
Wait a minute. I didn't. Wait. That's the one she's in.
Yeah.
The other one.
Tina,
No, the third one.
The third
She's
one.
in the third one.
I didn't
okay.
see. I know I didn't
forget
see
her
that
name,
one
but
because
she's the one who runs that whole city.
Thunderdome? The Thunderdome.
Well, the Thunderdome is just the dome, but she runs the city.
Wait. When did the first one come out?
First one came out in 1978 or 79. It was 70s.
Because the Tina Turner one was like 85.
Something like that.
Yeah.
The second one
81.
was it 81?
Well, Mad Max 2.
Yeah, I know Mad Max 2 was 80s. I think the first one was either 78 or 79. I really liked that first Mad Max movie, but
what happened in that one?
that one is the one where his wife and son are killed. And it's primarily a revenge movie where he chases down the gang and one by one just goes systematically murdering them.
I don't remember if I saw that one.
That one's really good.
Because in part 2, he has flashbacks
Right.
to the wife and kids. So now I'm trying
Right.
to remember if it becomes convoluted in my memory bank.
This is the bad guy from 2.
I know for a fact I've seen 2.
Which is
Rufio from Hook.
Well, yes, but he's also in Commando. That's
Yeah. With the Freddie Mercury.
right.
Freddie Mercury from Commando.
Right. So anyway, the
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
the
I think
story.
I know what you're talking about.
But everybody does. Everybody who's seen Commando goes, oh yeah, that was Freddie
that is
Mercury.
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, it took me a second. I was like, "Nope, that's accurate. That's accurate." His chainmail vest that's actually a sweater. Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
So the story itself is nothing. It's nothing new. It's a guy who it's no different than any other like Ronin movie where this roaming warrior stumbles upon a problem and he shouldn't get involved, but yet his moral compass won't allow him to turn away.
Of course.
So he gets involved and he helps protect this this little settlement that has been built around an oil rig.
Yeah, but he gets involved initially out of selfish reasons.
Correct. He was going to steal the oil.
He was gonna
Right.
steal, no, it wasn't even stealing. It was like he was gonna get his share. Like
Right.
I'll do this for you if you give me some.
Right, yeah,
gas,
he just wanted to go on his way, but eventually he couldn't turn a blind eye to it. And once he sees,
Is that how you see it?
that's the way I see it.
I gotta be honest with you, man. The way I see it is that he went out to get gas for himself, and then he's willing to do whatever it takes to get gas for himself. And then in doing that mission, he encounters the bad guy,
Humongous, yeah.
who is such a dick that
Yeah.
he was like, "Nah, I want to kill you." Like now you made it personal. Like that's the
It
way
could
I
be
saw
like
it.
that.
I never saw it as in, oh, I'm gonna help these people. I saw it more as in, I really want to kill that fucking guy. It just so happens to be that guy I really want to kill because he's super fucking annoying and doesn't shut the fuck up is the guy that's giving you guys problems.
Well, here's the thing. I see that, and that makes sense to me.
Maybe I'm just a cynical guy.
Well, I don't think it's cynicism. I think it's that you don't know his backstory.
Right? Okay.
He was a cop.
Okay.
And he was not a corrupt cop either. He was a cop who genuinely wanted to protect people and wanted to do good by people, and you see that in that first movie.
Okay.
And you see some of that man shine through in that second movie, where like the progression of like this post-apocalyptic universe that they're living in, like you see him broken. He's a broken man in this.
Right.
He's not nearly as broken as he is in Beyond Thunderdome, but he's well on his way there.
I
So
gotta be honest,
you see that character progression throughout those three movies, which is the best thing of Beyond Thunderdome, is seeing how far off, you know, the ledge he is at that point. He's off the reservation.
I gotta be honest with you. When I watched Road Warrior, the whole time, because I know it's a world that doesn't have gas, the whole time I'm like, this is the stupidest car to fucking be driving in this fucking time. Like all these cars, all of them. I was just like, you're just gonna be driving across the fucking desert. Like you don't know when your next tank of gas is. Like I get scared driving on fucking a quarter tank when there's 18 million gas stations in my house around my house. I'm just like, the whole movie I was like, oh, she's gonna be fucking. I mean, he's gonna run out of gas.
Well, truthfully, I think that the premise.
You gotta live on the edge a little.
I think
There's
that
AAA. You're fine.
the premise of Fury Road, of that most precious resource being water and not oil in this post-apocalyptic world, is a better premise.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's not what they did with this one.
Right.
Your water world's
Right, Waterworld, yeah.
It's all intertwined.
Yeah, there you
Same
go.
universe.
Same
What if
fucking universe?
What if Free Road and
Waterworld.
Waterworld were the same?
So,
What if they get there and it's fucking Kevin Costner? Oh my god! Fucking, we gotta make this movie.
well, anyway, the action scenes are.
It's the son of Dennis Hopper, but he also has an eye patch.
Yeah.
For no reason. He just wears his dad's eye patch.
He lifts it up to talk to you,
Yeah.
to look you in the eye. Look me in the eyes when I'm talking to you. Why don't you?
He lifts it up and the eyeball is a yellow happy face.
Oh, Last Action Hero.
Now it's all connected.
Jesus.
And then it pans out,
And you're
it's-
watching a movie
and you're watching the movie with the audience.
with that kid.
My mind just was blown.
Yeah.
This is the worst movie ever made. The action, to get back to Road Warrior, the action sequences I think are fantastic. That final chase, which is like a half-hour long chase with the tanker, is some of the most tense movie moments that I watch that movie still. I watch it. I don't rewatch movies frequently, but the ones that I do like that I rewatch, I'll rewatch them once every like 2 years, 3 years. It's very odd that I watch a movie like once a year.
I thought you were gonna say like I don't rewatch movies often, but when I do, it's the Road Warrior and Terminator
And Raiders of the Lost Ark.
and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
But yeah, those probably are the movies I rewatch the most. You know, and every now and then, like I'll rewatch a Bond movie. You know, I'll try to change it
I
up.
feel like such a weirdo. I watch movies that I like 2 or 3 times a month.
I used to.
I rewatched Creed again last night. Again, like you know how many times I've fucking seen a movie in the last year and a half since it came out in the last 2 years. Again last night, I'm like, well,
So I used to do that.
Like, I was
used to do that.
background.
I don't have time for that anymore. Just watching like in the background, I do that at work all the time. On my planning period, I'll put a movie on, something I've seen countless times. Like I'll put on like Texas Chainsaw Massacre while I'm grading, just to have it on in the
that's
background.
great.
And I'll
That's
just grade it. Yeah. Every now and then I have.
My fucking teacher's super angry. Super angry. He's grading like he's running for his life.
But yeah, that tanker chase just blows me away every fucking time. I love the way that the movie opens and closes with that almost like dreamlike sequence where it's, you know, the boy, the little animal boy, talking about the Road Warrior as if he's this legend. Like, was he even real? You know, he's remembering a time from his childhood. You know, is this exactly the way it went down? The way the whole movie is presented, you don't need to watch the first one to see this. And it's because the first one wasn't even really widely released in the United States. So when George Miller created this one, saying, all right, I got a bigger budget because the movie did well in Australia, now I've got my sights set on the world. Let me make a movie that can work on its own, which is why it's called The Road Warrior everywhere else except Australia, where it's Mad Max 2. So I think the only movie that has ever topped that chase scene is Fury Road. And,
with the
which is basically a chase scene that goes on throughout the whole movie.
And the OJ one.
The OJ chase scene is real good. You're right.
Just
it's good.
But yeah, I still watch it. My palms get sweaty. It's It's fantastic. I
When
love
you
this
said
movie.
said that, I don't know why I thought about the boat scene in Speed 2, Cruise Control.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I made you think of
That's
that.
the longest. I don't know if it's the longest scene that's. There's a record to that scene that it was like the longest recorded scene or like the longest destruction scene, whatever.
That movie's so ridiculous.
It yeah, it's awful.
Never seen it.
And you should.
You've never seen Cruise.
Speed 2?
Oh.
No. There's nothing about that movie. Here's the thing. If I'm watching a movie, like if I see a trailer and I go, this doesn't interest me, I'm not going to go watch it. Now, if I go, I'm not interested in it, and then everybody I know goes, bro, you have to see it. Looking at you.
Well, you got to
baby
see it
Trevor.
for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, but I never thought that. I was like, no, there's nothing that interests me about this movie. And then when you hear Sandra Bullock talk shit about it, you go, I'm good. I think I made the right decision. I think I'm fine. I'd rather go watch The Net.
Wow.
Huh?
Wow.
Sandra Bullock in The Net.
Huh?
Taking it back. All right.
There you go.
DJ.
All right, I'm gonna go a little bit lighter here. This is one of those that it could be a romance movie, or it could be an adventure movie, or as you said, you tie an adventure with action, which is kind of how I see it. But mine would be Romancing the Stone.
Oh my god, thank you so much. I love this movie. I love this
So
movie.
there's a couple of reasons why I put that movie.
That's a great movie.
So,
I
again-
just love the reaction that you got from
being
Dave.
the oldest
That was
guy
the
here.
weirdest.
He's like, oh my god, yeah. Oh,
Do you want to talk about the movie?
I literally thought that you were having an orgasm. I was like, oh my god, this is awkward as fuck.
Romancing the Stone.
Oh my god. Oh yes. Oh right there. Oh yeah.
So being the oldest one of the group, that's another movie that I remember when I came out.
What year
And
were you born?
78.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, old. And that was one of those movies that was constantly on TV, and it was a lot of fun. And I think it's your like quintessential 80s movie in terms of that. They're in a foreign country. There's all these like hijinks, and you don't really know why the bad guy. Well, you know why the bad guy is bad guy. And in this case, it's a treasure map.
Right.
But there's murder, but you don't really get fazed by it. There's comedy, but it's not also hilarious. There's
And you
of
don't
everything.
know if Michael Douglas is conning her.
Right.
Right.
You don't. You have that twist of like, is he really falling for her, or is
Right.
he really playing her?
Yeah. And
Because at first it was a play, right? At first, like
It
you know.
seemed,
It
my
seemed-
interpretation is at first it was, and then he does genuinely fall in love with her. I think it's when his head falls in between her legs,
yes, that
and
might
then
have
he
something
looks
to
up
do with
and he
it.
sees Kathleen Turner's legs.
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, hello there."
Can we talk about how Kathleen Turner was so attractive?
Oh
in
my
the
God.
80s?
Oh my God.
And
Oh
she ended
my
up
God.
being Chandler's,
Dad.
dad. in Friends.
and more accurately, it seems believable that she's Chandler's dad. In the 90s, it was like she went from like, hey, look, I have a sexy like rough voice to like, oh, I'm a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, whoa, wait.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. I mean, that's not my cup of tea. That's what you like. That's fine. That's cool. When in Rome, but I'm not doing this shit right now. Like it just. But she was super. Like I watched that for the first time maybe a year ago, last year. I remember. I forget. But I was texting Dave because he's such a huge fan of it, and I was texting him, and as I was watching it, and I was like, man, she is fucking smoking.
You're
in
talking
that movie.
about her and Romantic.
Yeah,
Stone.
and Romantic Stone. She
Yeah,
is fucking
that
smoking.
era in like the early mid '80s with that and like War of the Roses.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was it? The Postman Only Rings Twice.
Yes.
I think.
Was she banging
in that.
Michael Douglas?
I think she was. They did enough movies together.
They did enough. You had enough time, buddy.
And that movie, the final scene of that movie is probably, in my mind, one of the most ingrained scenes. Which it's the part when you see his boots.
Oh yeah,
then-
and he had just the last time you saw him, he was chasing a fucking alligator.
And then she gets on the boat, and the boat moving through New York City, the
Yeah.
sailboat. That's like one of the most like for me like scenes that I remember the most. Like it's like ingrained in my head.
and then Alan Silvestri's score starts up again over it, which is so 80s.
Yes,
with
yes.
with that fucking like horn, the do 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 do.
But you know what I think is
do,
great about that
do.
movie is that you watch that movie now, and obviously it's very 80s, but it's not all. It's cheesy, but not cheesy in a bad way. You don't watch it now and you go, "Wow, this is garbage. What the hell were
Yeah.
they thinking?" I think for all all in all, it holds up. It holds up pretty well.
I think so.
And
I saw it for the first time last year, and I liked it. I wasn't like in love with it like you guys are, like because David was raving about it. I'm like, all right, I'll fucking
I
watch
sucked this movie's dick, like straight up.
Clearly, we heard you.
I love this fucking movie. This is one of those movies that came out like right after Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
That was trying to capitalize on this like adventure, you know, thing that was going on. And I think that of the Indiana Jones clones, quote unquote, that came out right around that time, this is the best one.
Yeah.
My favorite part about this movie is that the fact that when she's typing and she's writing a story, it jumps. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it has these actors.
Yeah.
It has her in different roles because it's showing the novel.
When she's writing the novel.
When she's writing the novel. And I love that, like, fun little kind of, what's that word I'm looking for? When you're like it's meta, very kind of meta, kind of it's not meta, but it's kind of like this fun, like, hey, look, where it's a story within a story. And
that movie. Well, since you're closer to my age, maybe I don't really remember.
I'm closer to your age, buddy. I'm older. I'm the second oldest here.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
I thought you were 30.
No,
I'm the young one. I'm 31.
God bless you.
God
bless you,
that
my
movie
friend.
was a huge hit. Like, I remember everybody saw that movie. It was very popular. But yeah. Romancing the Stone.
I like that.
Jewel of the Nile is real good too. It's not nearly as good as Romancing the Stone, but I like it as well.
Okay. Jeff?
My number 2.
Talk about it.
I don't know if you guys saw this coming, but it's Predator.
All right.
Oh man, I love this movie. Because of my, I like Neri also did like one movie per person, and so this one didn't make it. But oh man, I love
I
this
figured
movie.
the other one. I know the other one that's I'm 87% sure that's on his mountain, on Neri's mountain. But out of the two of them, Predator to me.
Scratch that off my list. Junior.
to me, Predator. It's you've got it's the sci-fi. It's got the cast of characters. With Jesse Ventura, with
So great.
like all of them
I ain't
together.
got time to bleed.
It's got so many one-liners.
So
Get to the
stick
chopper,
around.
like
Stick around. Oh, that might be my favorite one.
My fucking favorite. I can't believe Get to the Chopper made more. It's still being used now. He says in interviews, that's the quote that he gets the most, even more so than Hasta la Vista. Like, he still gets Get to the Chopper more by fans that tell him his lines. He says he says that it's not even close. They ask him, which is the
Even
most,
more than I'll be back.
all of them. He says he says Get to the Chopper. He goes, there's I'll be back. There's Hasta la Vista. He goes, nothing. He goes, I get to the Chopper. People yell that from across the street. Get to the Chopper. And he said that he gets that more than any other line. He loves it. He's
It might be the delivery. Like, he's like shouting it at full force when he says that.
and it
and there's no ER in Chopper for him. Everybody else says Get to the Chopper, and he says Get to the Chopper.
it's got the iconic scene which Neri did you get the shirt finally of the two of them? When
I want to do it.
Dylan, you son of a bitch.
But fucking 80stees.com is like fucking $35 for a t-shirt. Like, calm the fuck down, guys.
But
They have you pushing too many pencils, Dylan.
you
and
son of a bitch.
it's just, to me, and the fact it introduces probably my favorite alien creature in cinema, which is the Predator.
Predator.
I fucking love the idea of the Predator, the backstory. You don't get it much in this, but you eventually start getting back.
Anytime.
It's just such a cool character, and then each of them dealing with him, like I'm brain farting on his name.
Dutch?
The one that fights him on the log.
Oh,
with
the
knife.
Mexican?
The
Mexican.
yeah, was he Mexican?
Yeah.
Or was he supposed to be Native American?
I thought.
Oh, you're talking about Billy?
Billy.
No, he's Native American.
Native American?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they mention what tribe he's supposed to be from, but that's my favorite when he
But it's
cuts
the
himself.
tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
and then all you do is you hear the scream, and it's not like he's got this deep voice,
Right.
but what you're hearing is like this scream of like horror.
Right.
He went out to be a
man.
He went out to be a congressman.
That's Jesse Ventura.
No. He
did?
He didn't make it, but he went. He
ran.
He ran. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I think he did softcore porn for a while.
Do you know Entertainment
That's what's
Weekly
Oh,
named
okay.
it the 22nd best action movie of all time?
Which
oh
one?
wow,
Predator.
Entertainment Weekly, yeah.
Well,
Of all time?
Of all time.
I mean, I can't even argue, man. I can't. I love this fucking movie. I love that fucking movie.
The
a lot.
final fight in this movie is
It's
probably
the
one of the
final
coolest
countdown.
fights when he just covers himself in the mud. He's just pinned up. Does the he does the Rambo?
Yeah, he does.
Which I don't know which one came out first, but
I think First Blood came out. First Blood Part 2 came out before Predator.
But it's just such a cool scene. And it's just like, come here,
Do it.
All right.
One of my favorite memes is when they put that scene and they said, "This is what happens when you wake up 2 minutes before your alarm clock." Do it already! Come on, do it!
But yeah,
And that's all I think about now when I wake up 2 minutes before my alarm and I'm looking at the timer like, you motherfucker, do it already. Come on, fucking do it.
but yeah. So
Se lo
Predator.
llevó la selva.
So you said that Get to the Chopper. The Chopper is his most quoted
To him.
to him.
To him. That's what he said in interviews. He said that "Get to the Chopper" is the line that fans come up to him and say and repeat to him the most.
Right.
More so than "I'll be back." More so than "Hasta la vista." He said, he says it, the way he said it made it seem as if it wasn't even close. He goes, "Oh no, get to the chopper." And he's like, "No, it's
Wow.
not even like."
I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that either.
They made a scotch about it. There's a scotch that just remember that article.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember if it was like Dutch's Get to the Chopper or something like that. This company made a scotch that was about it. But yeah, I think it's a great action movie. I think it's got a great cast of characters.
Yeah.
So Predator is my number 2.
The reason why, because I made myself that rule of only one per actor, and the reason why I didn't go with Predator is because in my mind, as much as I know it's an action movie, I also see it as a sci-fi movie.
Right.
I think the
So
first
there-
half is more action, with the last half being more sci-fi.
Right, because then when the Predator makes himself seen or whatever. But to me, you'll see when I mention which movie of his, because it's obvious that I fucking picked a movie of his,
Right.
That is on my list. You're gonna see that it's not because I think one is better than the other one. In fact, I would. There could be an argument saying that Predator is a better movie because you could watch it now in 2019 and go, "This fucking movie still holds up."
it holds
It could come out today and still look at and
if it came out today, it would still be the best Predator movie that they have.
Yeah.
It's really fucking good. I love that fucking movie. There's
if
nothing.
it came out today, it would make my list of top 10 movies of 2018.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I agree. It's really good. But the only reason to me is to make it easier for myself. I was like, look, man, it's. If it's more of if you also think of it as a sci-fi movie, then it's easier to justify going with the other pick.
The other
and
one.
That's what I did.
And if the other pick's the one that I'm thinking of, it is definitely more of a straight action movie than this one.
Every other movie he's made is more of a straight action movie than this one, because every other movie he's made is a straight action movie. This is the only one that has, except for Terminator. Right.
And Junior.
Right.
Twins.
And Kindergarten Cop.
Twins are so good. Twins, Kindergarten Cop, man. If you watch Kindergarten Cop for the first half hour, you forget.
Yeah.
We all think about it's not a tumor and the fucking scenes with the kids, but the first half hour of that movie
That's
is
intense.
pretty fucking intense.
Yeah.
He was showing it to his fucking son recently, and he's like, "Oh."
and I will never again put it on for. Well, not never again, but it'll be a little while before I put it on for him.
There was a fucking heroin overdose in that movie. There's a fucking.
You're right.
There's a prostitute. It's not even a fucking normal. It's a prostitute.
He asked me, he was like, "What is that?" I'm like, "It's bad medicine." He doesn't realize that the medicine has gone bad.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You always check the expiration date
Always.
on your heroin. There's a. So people forget. I know Kindergarten Cop. I know we were joking around, but I'm like, no, that first half hour of that movie is legit a fucking action movie. All right, so
Your number 2.
my number 2 segue into that is Commando.
And
that's exactly
tabled.
Oh, that's exactly the one that I. It was either Predator or Commando.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, those were the two I was between.
Yeah,
And again, my only reason was because I used a sci-fi angle. But I used it on purpose just to be able to justify, hey, makes an easier decision for me. All right, so the number 2s were Road Warrior, Romance in the Stone, Predator, and Commando. So, honorable mentions.
you want me to read first?
Are you going? Which page are you going?
I have Geekmore's up.
Okay, so I'll go to my page. Go
Okay,
ahead.
so on Geekmore, Jemiah, he's got from 1 to 4, Predator, Aliens, Die Hard, and Raw Deal. All fantastic picks. Honorable mention: Rambo 2, Lethal Weapon 1 and 2, Missing in Action, RoboCop, Top Gun, and Rocky. I'm assuming Rocky 4.
It could be 3 also.
Well, because he put Rock IV.
Yes,
So that's Rocky
yeah.
4. Yeah.
And then Daniel Romero has from 1 to 4, Die Hard, The Terminator, Empire Strikes Back, and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
And I think that's all we have on Geekmore.
Brian Coronado puts Commando, Predator, RoboCop, and Aliens. Adam Ginsberg put Big Trouble in Little China, Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon.
That's a great
Oh,
Fuck!
yeah, that.
Damn it, I forgot that one.
I mentioned it to you in our
No,
chat.
I didn't remember. No, you said American Ninja, and I was like, oh,
no, but I had mentioned The Last Dragon to you.
son of a
I go, The Last Dragon's an action movie, right?
Stupid RoboCop. God damn you. If there was anything I played out more as a kid than a fucking walking robot is having a fucking Golden Glow. I swear to God, I had the Golden Glow there was like 3 years where I fucking walked around with the Golden Glow. Anybody who would play any games and be like, oh, I shot you. I had the Golden Glow, bitch. You don't even know. You don't even fucking know. Your bullets don't do shit against the Golden Glow. What? Oh, motherfucker.
Who's the master?
Fuck, not Neri.
Not near his memory.
Shit. Number 3 is Willow, which I don't.
Willow?
I don't see that as action.
I don't see that as
There's-
action
I
at
mean,
all.
There is action.
There's action, but that's not
But
fantasy movie.
that's a fantasy movie.
that's
fucking little people starring in a movie.
Yeah.
That's fantasy as fuck, dude.
Hey, eso mi gente. Man.
I know.
Relax.
I know. Not even in The Hobbit, which is supposed to be about little people, they got a regular sized person.
Yeah.
Never again did a little person star in a Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
It was him and the guy in the fucking Kid Rock's Entourage.
The Leprechaun movies. No, that was him, right?
Was that him?
It's Warwick Davis. Yeah.
He was the leprechaun.
Mm-hmm.
Still is the leprechaun.
Yeah.
Carolina Osorio put First Blood. Wow, good for you, Carolina. Look at that. Fucking starting off strong. Die Hard, Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, and Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, good.
So, Nelio put, all right, he changes a lot of times, so I had to go, because he started off with Die Hard, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Blade Runner, and Ghostbusters. I commented and said, it's funny how I would never, interesting that you see Ghostbusters as an action movie and not as a comedy or sci-fi. Not saying I disagree, I'm just saying it's interesting because most people see it as a comedy. I personally don't, but most people do.
I think it's interesting that he sees Blade Runner as action because Blade Runner is one of my favorite movies. I don't see it as action.
I think it's interesting that he saw Blade Runner and didn't fall asleep.
I think you need to
Because
keep reading
that's what I
instead
fucking
of
did.
talking
I
to me
just
right
fell
now.
asleep. I wish I was joking. That's a real thing.
The worst.
And then he put switch out Die Hard for RoboCop, and then he put Die Hard as overrated. That's what he wrote.
Yeah, I know. I mean, people can be wrong. It's fine.
So-
Who wrote Die Hard was overrated?
This guy Nelio Costa.
wrong people.
So his list would then be RoboCop, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Blade Runner, and Ghostbuster. And then he wrote.
So he originally had Die Hard
yeah,
and then took it out?
yeah, took it out.
So it wasn't overrated when he put it originally.
But then he thought about it, and he was like,
This makes no sense.
yeah.
Thanks for listening, though, Nelly.
I actually.
For that, we're going to send him a picture of the Nakatomi Plaza right there.
I actually agree with him. Yvette De La Rosa put
So now you know you're definitely wrong.
Die Hard, Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Terminator, and Lethal Weapon. Alf Laser Rays put RoboCop, Conan the Barbarian, Die Hard, and Bloodsport. Honorable mentions to
love
Beverly
Conan
Hills
the
Cop and Running Man.
I'm surprised. Well, you haven't said your number one yet. No, but you tabled.
He tabled.
I tabled. Yeah. It's not. I see Conan the Barbarian as primarily a fantasy movie. There are action, but now you want to talk about Conan the Destroyer? That's more of an action movie.
Okay.
But either way, as much as I love them,
Yeah, Red Sonja is clearly better. So
oh my God, you have been so wrong on this. I've never seen you be more wrong than tonight.
I've said Red Sonja is better than Conan the Destroyer many times on this podcast.
You always have, and
Yes.
you've always been
So
wrong.
you acted surprised. Colin Bohannon put Top Gun, Rocky IV, Lethal Weapon, and Die Hard.
I can't do Top Gun.
And then Nelio said Rocky IV is my number one. Actually, changed my vote. So now he
Top
changed.
Gun, I think, is overrated.
I have a
I like
wall with him.
I like Top Gun. I like Top Gun a lot, but I don't get I don't get the love that Top Gun gets. I mean, it's
Did
good.
you not see them play volleyball? What the fuck, man? How do you?
That's my favorite scene.
Did you not see him fuck on a motorcycle with the fucking wind?
Bro.
This shit right here, the
It's
fucking wind.
like I said, it's awesome, but people talk about that movie like it's
You're
the
a wild
greatest
man,
thing.
Dave.
You're dangerous.
You're dangerous.
Take my breath away.
I was like, how can I denote the mouth clamp?
Weird ass teeth chomp. Anyways, so that's what I have on the list.
All right. So number one.
Oh wait, I think I have one on my personal page. Shit, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Is that your list?
That was my personal
No, I'm
page.
just kidding.
That was my personal page, and now on my comedy page, I apologize. I have a couple people. Jason Pujol put Lethal Weapon, Die Hard, Terminator, and RoboCop, and Edwin Fuentes put Blade Runner, RoboCop, Die Hard, and Predator. Might take out one for Terminator, but he didn't say which one. So
Cool.
there you go. Cool. All right.
All right, so I think what I'm going to do, because I still have a lot of movies on my honorable mentions list, is I'm just going to list movies that neither we nor any of the people that you listed talk about. Did anyone talk about Running Man?
Yes.
Okay, so not Running Man.
You just said
Wait a way to say it without saying
way
it.
to not say Running Man.
That's when somebody goes, a man who needs no introduction. That's actually your introduction.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Let's go Lone Wolf McQuade. I fucking love Lone Wolf McQuade. Gotta have at least something about Chuck Norris on here.
I really didn't know what the fuck you were talking about.
Oh man, it's
I
fucking
legit
awesome.
didn't know what you were talking about.
You know that fucking box that you bought?
Uh-huh.
It's a deep with Chuck Norris.
Oh, okay. No, I know Chuck Norris. I don't know Lone Wolf McQuade.
The trucks from
Lone Wolf McQuade was like his breakout role.
Okay.
So
Is that the name of the movie?
It's the name of the movie.
Okay,
yeah.
I did it. I thought it was a Mission. What's the other one?
Missing in Action?
Missing in Action.
Missing in Action came out shortly after that, and Missing in Action is fantastic. But this
Is that when he comes out of the water?
Yes.
With the machine gun?
Yeah.
And then the
It's a
gun doesn't
great
lock
scene.
up? That's
No,
cool.
no, it doesn't.
Cool.
This is
Cool.
you're thinking of Hot Shots Part 2. There's
Right.
no way that happened in another movie.
Also happened in Rambo. Did it happen in Rambo too? No.
Yeah, he comes out of the water in Rambo.
Yeah.
The Lone Wolf McQuade is the basis for Walker Texas Ranger.
It's a PG movie. It's his
Yeah.
only PG movie.
It's his,
or not only because he did
Good
Top,
Guys Don't Wear Black, or Good Guys Wear Black.
and he did Top Dog too. So it's probably
It's his only
Sidekick.
good PG movie.
Sidekick.
We can say that.
Sidekicks.
I haven't seen Sidekicks in so long. I can't remember.
I mean,
Was it Devin Sawa? No, it wasn't. Devin Sawa.
it was a kid from
Jonathan Brandis.
Jonathan Brandis. Yeah.
Oh, the kid from It.
Yeah.
What was
from
it?
Sequest.
Sequest, yeah.
Where he wore a Marlins World Series championship jersey
Fucking left him
before
hanging.
they won the World Series.
did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There was a whole speculation. I think the jersey was off by like 2 years from when they actually won the World Series, the first World Series.
That's a little freaky.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go Lone Wolf McQuade. I'm gonna
Left him
go.
hanging in that movie.
Damn it, you I was trying to figure out a way to segue that
No,
joke.
he's
I said it, but you guys were talking earlier. And I'm like, no, I gotta repeat this. People gotta hear this.
License to Kill. Let's go.
Did you mean License to Ill?
Yeah.
That was a dope ass song.
Dope as hell.
Streets of Fire. I don't know if anyone
What
here
the
has
fuck
seen
is that? What are you doing, man?
You've never seen Streets of Fire?
I've never even heard of this. That sounds like a fucking video game.
Yeah.
It does sound like a
It
video
does
game.
sound like a video game.
It's a rock and roll musical action movie.
In the original NES.
Yeah.
And
It sounds like Streets of Fire. Now you're playing with fire. Like that's what
Play
it says.
with the power pad.
Yeah,
Remember
with
that?
the power glove.
it's
You gotta
in-
play with the power glove.
it's in the family share, so you can watch it if you want. It's
Sure.
written and directed by Walter Hill. For whatever that's worth.
Bien conocido su
The
casa.
Warriors. You ever see the Warriors?
Oh, I hate that movie, dude.
Really?
That's
Oh,
one of the.
fuck you.
It's so fucking overrated. I'm sorry, man. As that
Fuck
great scene,
you.
that great speech scene, where it was like.
With Cyrus. You
yeah.
respect Cyrus.
Yeah, absolutely. Then the rest of the movie is like. bleh.
But the Warriors is 79.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's not.
No,
It
he's
is
talking about
79.
the guy
I'm just saying
directed this
the guy
movie.
who wrote and
Directed another
this.
movie that you've never heard of.
He's also the guy who produced all the Alien movies.
Okay.
So that's probably where you know him from. And then let's go.
Because I know my producers. They like every time I watch a movie, I go, I'm watching it for the
You know
producers.
Steve Millhouse, the second grip from
He was also the best boy, the best grip in. Yeah, of course.
he was grip number 3.
And I can't remember if anyone mentioned this or not, so I'll just throw it out there. Is Escape from New York?
Nobody's mentioned.
Like it.
Yeah.
Like it. Snake Plissken.
Honorable
DJ?
mentions. Well, I think you mentioned a few. I love Conan,
Oh yeah.
and I
like him better than Jimmy.
and I love Red Sonja.
Oh, Red Sonja's the shit.
I mean that movie.
Because you know who has what's his name? The kid in Red Sonja?
Oh, short round?
Eddie
That's not short round.
Wow. What's his name?
I can't remember, but
Fuck. I forget his name, but he's also in Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of
I mean, that
the
movie
yes,
gets a-
he's the pizza delivery guy.
That movie gets a lot of shit, but that movie's actually not bad at all.
I fucking love that movie.
And I mean, obviously, the Lethal Weapon movies I love. I would even put in there Tron because I love the original. I don't know if that would be action.
I wouldn't qualify it as an action movie, but I do love Tron.
And I would put there also Terminator, the original one, simply because Terminator 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time. So I have to give credit to
It's
that one.
fantastic. I love that movie.
T1 is probably like my second or third favorite movie of all time. I talk about it all the time. So
All right. That's it, DJ?
Yeah.
All right. So my honorable mentions are Tango and Cash.
it's nice.
The Last Dragon, because I don't know how you didn't remember that I told you about
What are you
that.
talking about? That's my number 4. What the fuck you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
I actually put Lethal Weapon 2. I was talking to Dave about this, that to me, Lethal Weapon 1's more of a drama than it is an action. Lethal Weapon 2 has way more action in it. And it's got, the classic one line, diplomatic immunity.
Yeah.
It's been revoked. Like,
Has there been any
Fucking-
talk about retooling that series?
Well, they have a
show.
TV
The
show,
show.
now.
The show's great, man.
I haven't seen this show.
The
I
show's
haven't
fantastic.
seen it now that
I haven't seen it since this
the guy who
guy
played Riggs left. Well, they got fired.
or
I
got
think.
quitted.
Yeah. Cobra. Especially for that opening scene from fucking
yeah.
Cobra.
Really?
I like
love
Cobra.
I love Cobra for all
For
the wrong
cheesy
reasons.
action?
For all the wrong reasons.
But that's why, for
the fact
cheesy
that he cuts his pizza with scissors. I mean,
And my last one is the original Red Dawn.
That's a great movie.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought somebody was going to say Legend.
Oh, wow.
I saw the movie for the first time last year.
Legend?
Yeah, and it was a raw. I mean, I have to see the director's cut because once you watch the movie, I felt like something's wrong with this. And then I did some research and I found out that the studio interfered with him so much with Ridley Scott that when he came out with his director's cut, that's what he like. But they say it's like 2 different movies. So I haven't seen the director's cut, but the first one I thought had some very cool elements. But I was like, what the fuck is happening? It feels like a really bad edit job.
The director's cut is like readily available on Blu-ray. You can't get it digital anymore.
Yeah.
All right, Neri.
My honorable mentions are RoboCop because that's not on my list. So RoboCop, Rocky 4, American Ninja, and Predator. And then I also put, for good measure, I put Rambo 2 and Lethal Weapon.
Nice.
So that's it. So
All right, number ones.
We can finally talk about Commando now.
yes, Commando.
Yeah,
Freddie
Commando's my
Mercury.
number one. In the last like maybe 3 years, Commando has become the Schwarzenegger movie that I rewatched the most.
More so than Terminator?
Even more than Terminator, yeah.
Wow. That's a lot for you.
That is a lot for me because I love the first Terminator movie, and I love T1 more than Commando. But to me, there's something about Commando, and I think it's the humor in it. Like, it's so funny, and it's not funny all the time, but
And it's
when
not funny on purpose.
Yeah, not always.
No. I ate green berets for breakfast. I'm very hungry. Like, what? And I love that scene for that line. And then the very next line, when what's her name goes, oh, all this macho bullshit. And I go, oh, that's hilarious. Like, I just love it. I just makes me love it so much more. Yeah.
The fact that she was able to read the instruction manual on a fucking rocket launcher.
Right. Bazooka.
Right, on a bazooka.
No, you're right. It was a rocket
I think it was a rocket launcher.
You're right.
Before they're able, like, she's able to drive following the fucking truck that he's being taken and that he's being arrested in.
Yeah, the paddy wagon.
Right. And she uses the fucking rocket launcher, right? She blows up a store behind her because she holds it backwards.
Can we
first.
talk about why there was an actual paddy wagon there to fucking take him in? Like, he's one dude. Like, it wasn't. That's not even the SWAT team didn't even come.
No.
Like, it's just like, why is a regular patrolman driving a fucking paddy wagon? Like, that's not usually the way it works. It's usually you bring a paddy wagon when the officers tell you, hey, there's so many of these guys that we have to fucking need a larger vehicle.
He's larger than life, Neri.
This is one of the things about this movie that I love is that if you try to justify things, you can probably come up for a reason why.
Yeah.
But it's better if you don't.
Yeah.
If you just accept it for how ridiculous it is, the movie's even better.
The movie starts off with him fucking carrying a tree trunk on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Which he actually did.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
He's a fucking he was,
I mean,
world's strongest man.
Mr.
Yeah.
Olympia.
7 times. Yeah, sure, it's fine. Like I think it's
It's another day in the office.
yeah, of course. That's the way. Yeah, I love the fact that he puts a shirt on his shoulder because he's like, this will damage my skin.
Yeah.
But it's rough, and I didn't put lotion.
That's
on this
actually his
morning.
pencil.
Like, I didn't put. It's such a fun that score, but I mean,
Yeah.
don't fucking think-
And the one-liner. Lay off some
Blow off some steam.
Blow off
Bennett.
some steam.
My favorite line in the movie, though, is it's a callback to an earlier line in the movie where he's holding Sully over like Rodeo
cliff,
Drive or whatever
yeah.
it is, and he says, "Sully, remember how I told you I'd kill you last?" And he goes, "That's right, John. You did tell me that, didn't you?" And he goes, "I lied." And he just drops him. He fucking ragdolls all the
Cold-blooded
way
murder.
down.
Cold-blooded as fuck.
I love everything about that movie. Everything from the secret room where he has his guns in the beginning.
Yeah.
Where he puts that code in. I was like, oh, we could do that? We could have entire rooms full of fucking guns? Like, this is like 7-year-old Neri. I'm like, oh, we're fucking going to have an entire room full of guns.
When I make it, we're gonna
fucking have entire rooms full of guns. And as a kid, I wanted to reproduce that movie so often. And I think I've talked about it on the podcast before where, I mean, you talk about that scene. There's so many scenes. You talk about when he was on the beach getting ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
When he put
That gear up
the
scene?
boat, and the gear up scene. I made my mom buy me sleeveless vests, sleeveless jackets in Miami. Multiple times just so I could fucking take him out and play as if I'm fucking
John Matrix.
and it's so fucking good. And I remember my mom must have looked out of the fucking window in the backyard so many times and saw me rubbing my closed fist on my fucking body. She didn't know that in my imagination I was putting on the camouflage ink on my body. Like that's what he did. I fucking did it. And I love this movie so
I'm
much.
not gonna lie. When I was a kid, I used to watch that movie because of Alyssa Milano.
Oh yeah.
That's my first crush. My first
crush ever.
First crush, I think, was either her or
if you're in your late 30s, 40s, she was your first crush.
it's either her or Kelly Kapowski, and I can't remember which is which. I think it's 1A and 1B, but I know
Kelly
it's the-
Kapowski came a little bit later,
Right.
Because Alyssa Milano.
So
was
did I.
more-
Oh, that's gross.
Remind me, I don't remember that he actually needed the camouflage.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Right.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, camouflage is when you go in stealth, not when you go in
Now,
fucking blowing everything up.
To his credit, he does go stealth for about 5 minutes. Right?
When he's putting the C4 detonators, when he's putting the fucking.
There's a couple guys he takes down with his knife.
Right.
He uses the throwing knives a
Right.
couple times, but then there's one guy that for some reason he leaves up in the crow's nest, and that guy sees him, and then he turns around and fucking shoots that guy,
Yeah, and
and then it's all fucking hell breaks loose. He blows open
That scene I replayed in Toys R Us. In Toys R Us, I would get fucking guns in the gun aisle, in the toy gun aisle, and I would go and fucking shoot guns and then throw them on the floor because they ran out of ammo, and then get a fucking another one. To the point that I had a Toys R Us employee go, "Hey, you can't do that." Like he literally stopped me and I go, but it ran out of bullets. I justified this to the fucking Toys R Us employee. I was like, but it ran out of bullets, sir. What do you want me to? This is useless now.
Yeah.
This does nothing. I can't kill imaginary bad guys
that
anymore.
might be the first time that I ever saw that also.
Yeah.
Because he's strapped. He's got like fucking 1,000 guns on
Right.
him. And when he's done, when the fucking magazine is over, it's not, let me pull out another magazine.
Yeah.
It's drop the gun, pull out the other one.
And it wasn't a magic bullet belt that Rambo 2 had.
Yeah.
That fucking magic bullet belt that he just
It never went down.
No, and when it did go down, you could see it. It went down, and then they showed what he's shooting up, and then when they came back, it was fucking long again. It's like, oh, look at
Which, to Missing in Action's credit, That they do.
Right.
They show the bullets in the M60 going in, and once it's done, it's fucking done. He's out. He throws it on the ground, and he.
Well, they also
goes
did, and
running.
like they also did another movies like what's it called? Untouchables. They show him fucking reloading, and they show him, which is actually improv by Kevin Costner and Brian.
Was it?
Yeah, Brian De Palma was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He goes, "I promised my brother-in-law that when I ran out of
Every 6 shots,
six shots, I was gonna reload, and it was gonna cause that and that drama." He was like, "What the like that had that?" He was like, oh, "That's fucking stupid." And then when he saw him doing it, he goes, "Oh, that's gonna build up tension and build up drama."
Yeah.
But that was all Kevin Costner. Anyways, so Commando. Fucking love this movie,
Awesome
dude.
pick.
I fucking love this movie. Yeah, everything about this movie, the ridiculousness, the escape out of the plane. Don't bother my friend. He's dead tired. Holy shit!
Love that line.
Holy shit!
Great
fucking!
one-liner.
That was another one that used to play a lot on TV.
Jumped out of a fucking plane. The plane was taking off.
Yeah.
He fucking jumped out of a plane. That music is fucking the tits, dude. I love this fucking.
That's
movie.
also James Horner.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier the first set of boobies I ever saw was in that movie when he kicks Mac from Predator, when he kicks him into
The Green Beret.
the Green Beret, when he kicks him into the adjoining motel room.
Yeah.
The woman who pops up from the bed,
No reason
why she should be there, right? Or pop up in that fashion. But that was the first set of
We're
boobies
not
I ever
asking
saw.
any questions.
Yeah.
And I am oh so thankful to Richard Lester that he included that in the movie. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
It was not cut out.
Yeah.
So number twos are
No, that was
number one. Yeah.
All right. So
now it's DJ's turn. Yes,
My
that was
number
that was.
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Right.
All right. So my number one is not necessarily my favorite movie of the 80s or favorite action movie of the 80s, but I'm a major Bond head, so I got to include a Bond.
Oh yes.
So my number one goes to The Living Daylights.
Nice, okay.
Because again, not necessarily my favorite movie of the 80s, but for us Bond heads, this was a breath of fresh air from the Roger Moore years. Timothy Dalton was, in my opinion, a much better Bond than Roger Moore ever was. I know a lot of people love Roger Moore and they think that is James Bond, but the truth is his movies are the shit.
You know, I gotta be
in
honest.
the bad way.
I gotta be honest with you. This is something that I've talked about with Dave before. I think Bonds are very generational. Like
Yeah.
if you grew up watching a particular actor as like if he was your first Bond, it's most likely your favorite Bond.
Yeah, because there's an emotional
It's
attachment.
an emotional
to it, yeah.
attachment. To me, my first Bond, the first Bond movie I ever saw was GoldenEye. So my Bond is Pierce Brosnan. Like that's my Bond, and so to me, it's hard to swallow Daniel Craig because I'm like, it's not Pierce Brosnan. But I completely, I'm self-aware enough to be like, that's a me thing. That's
Right,
not,
but
like his favorite was your first, right?
Sean Connery.
Yeah, Sean Connery was his favorite.
Because you have to see it in two ways, right? When you discuss Bond, Pierce Brosnan is all. I can make the argument that he's also the one that like I most got into when his franchise when his part came out, but. You have to see it from what was Bond meant to be and the quality of the movies. And unfortunately, you know, we all know this. Movies from like the 70s have not held up well.
Oh,
And-
don't say that to David. David will fight you on that.
It depends on the movie. I agree with him on Roger Moore though. There's very few Roger Moore Bond movies that
they're
legitimately
awful.
like.
I mean, you watch them now and you kind of like, oh, you know.
I can laugh at a lot of these movies.
You could laugh at a lot of them, but I
The
mean,
last two that he did though are just plain boring. They suck.
A Time to Kill,
A View to Kill, and Octopussy, which I think is the worst one.
Horrible
that he did.
And just Timothy Dalton was a breath of fresh air, as I said. He had that nice mixture of that he could kick your ass. You know, he was a good-looking guy, and the Living Daylights and License to Kill, the two movies he did, were a lot darker than any other Bond before,
And maybe even after it.
Yeah, I mean, for a while.
Certainly, License to Kill, I think, is the darkest of the.
I mean,
Bond
do you remember
movies.
the end? He gets stuck in License to Kill. A lot of people forget that. What's his name? That was one of his first movies.
Del Toro?
Yes,
Yeah.
Benicio del Toro. That he's the villain in that movie. A lot of people forget that. And that part, you know, at the end when he gets ground up.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's pretty bad.
Well,
so
the way Felix Leiter dies in that is brutal too.
yeah.
Yeah, but is it as brutal as getting hit in the balls with a rope? That's brutal.
No, it is. It is.
Or,
I'm
you
not
know,
gonna argue
Round
that.
up in a whatever way.
Yeah, he died. He didn't feel that pain. He's gone. You know who feels the pain? His fucking balls. With a fucking rope.
So I mean,
Great line, too.
this movie, you look at it today, and obviously it doesn't have the special effects of today, but it still holds up pretty well. And also, one of the things I enjoy about the Timothy Dalton movies is that Timothy Dalton actually, fun fact, he was actually supposed to be Bond before Roger Moore. Well, when they were casting for Roger Moore, but they thought that he was going to be too young, and I believe he was tied up.
He
with
thought he
something
was
else.
too young.
He was tied up with something else, right?
No, that was Roger Moore was initially tied up with The Saint when they wanted him to come in when Connery first left, and that's why Lazenby came in.
Right.
And then Connery came back. Moore was available.
Right.
But they wanted Dalton.
Yeah.
And Dalton, he himself said, "I think I'm too young."
And
for
he
this."
probably was, but
he was only like 22.
He had Ian Fleming's, because Ian Fleming was on Ian Fleming's radar. So he had his blessing. So he was destined to be Bond, whenever eventually. So yeah, Living Daylights.
That scene where he and I forgot her name, but it's the actress Miriam Dabo are going down the mountain in her cello case, and he's steering with the cello, and they're being shot at by the people, and he's trying to like cover their ass with the fucking cello and steer at the same time. That movie's fucking
that
awesome.
cello has a big part in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great one. My favorite of the two is License to Kill, but I love it.
Good movie.
All right.
You guys need to check it out.
Oh, mine's Die Hard. My number one's Die Hard.
Oh, we can talk.
Okay,
I
good.
mean,
Now we can talk about Die Hard.
Yeah. I won't go crazy into it if you guys want to, but because I've spoken about it in my favorite Christmas movies episode, but I watch it every year, at least once or twice a year. It's the one movie from that time period that I will watch.
I just saw it on Christmas.
Really, yeah.
Anoche Buena.
And it's I never get tired of that movie. I never get tired of Hans Gruber. I still think Hans
Maybe
Gruber's
the
one
greatest-
of the best villains.
Yeah.
Have we done that list yet? Best villain?
Best movie villains? I don't think we've done that.
No, I don't think we've done that. But
You guys have not done that?
I think we did best villains.
We did lamest MCU villains.
No, but we also did best villains in we did best sci-fi villains or something.
No, we
I think
did.
I think we cut it up into somewhere. It's like, right?
we gotta look back into it.
Yeah.
But Die Hard, it's just Bruce Willis is just charismatic as hell as John McClane. The situation he's in, he's fucking barefoot for most of the movie.
Yeah.
Now here's the situation. My parents went away.
And
It's so tense, like the whole fucking time.
yeah, and I just it takes place in Nakatomi Tower, just a tall building or plaza. You have nowhere to go. You have it's just I just love the idea of everybody's Carl Winslow's in it.
Right.
Coral.
There's this even though it's an action movie and like there's some of it where you're like, okay, well that probably couldn't happen. There's a suspension of disbelief that goes into any action movie.
Correct.
Into any movie, period. There's still some like gritty realness to it. Like the way that he like sleuths around and he starts writing down people's names and taking them down one by one. Like by the end of this movie, it's like it's one man who's taken on like a whole group, and he looks it like he's fucking tired by the end of this movie, which is why when I watch some of particularly the last one where he does all of these incredible things and he's 30 years older than he was when he did the first one, right? And like he's just starting to break a sweat. It's like come on.
No, I don't. That's not true.
Yeah, no. Everybody can fall into radioactive water at Chernobyl and not get any.
See,
radiation
people have a
poisoning.
problem with that. I was having this discussion with someone.
Yeah, science.
People have a problem with going into water, right? Radioactive water, right? In part 5, but everybody seems to forget that he fucking fought a fighter jet in part 4. Not like he fought it from a distance with a rocket launcher. He got on top of the fucking plane, a fucking fighter jet, not a helicopter, a fucking fighter jet.
The helicopter which he fought in part 5.
Well, he fought a helicopter in every single one. Every single one. Part 1, he took down the fucking helicopter that Hans Gruber was in, right? Or that the people were getting in.
He makes a point.
He took that. Part 2.
Oh, he took it down, meaning
He took down a helicopter in every single fucking Die Hard. When will helicopters learn you don't fuck with John McClane? You don't fuck with John McClane. Helicopters are 0-5 against John McClane.
he doesn't take down the helicopter
Yes,
in the
he does.
first one. No, the helipad blows up.
And who fucking blew it up? He fucking tied it down. He tied down the fucking helicopter. I'm telling you,
okay.
he fucking takes down a helicopter and everyone. In part 3, the fucking power lines. He was fucking shooting around it, and he got caught on the power lines.
I just thought the last
every
movie was
helicopter.
bad.
The last one is bad. I don't like the last one. It's the only one I don't like.
I love the last one,
Your
and I don't
story
like
checks out.
part 4 at all. And I think part 4, I'm like, why are people I used that exact example today. I was having dinner with a friend, and he was talking about that part 5 was awful, that wasn't believable, and I go, but the radioactive water, okay, I get it, that's right, but he should have been dead for part 1. Like, he jumped off a building with a fire hose over his waist. He would have been that. Like, why are we nitpicking about action movies? I don't understand where
You
this
don't
is
ask
coming
any
from.
questions. It's John
Yeah.
McClane.
He jumped on a fucking fighter plane in part 4. He should have been dead.
There are levels of believability, though, which is why I say that you do have to have like some suspension of disbelief when you go into an action movie, particularly an 80s action movie. Right? Like when you say, Missing in Action is the one where Chuck Norris comes up with an M60 out of a fucking water and it doesn't jam on him, right?
Let me
Or
ask
you
you
swing with
something
monkeys through
about
a
Die Hard,
jungle.
because I think you and I,
God, that's
when
awful.
we talked about this in the Christmas movies, we touched upon this. Does Die Hard feel like an 80s movie to you? Because to me it doesn't. It feels like a 90s movie.
Well, this is one of the things that I think why Die Hard is as influential as it is. It comes out in the late 80s. I think it comes out like Christmas of 88. So you're talking to like pretty much 89, right? That would set the template.
It didn't
for
come out in
what-
Christmas.
No, it came out in
It was
July.
summer.
Yeah.
Oh, was
out-
it summer?
yeah, it was
Okay,
a
all
summer
right.
movie.
So summer of 88, right? And so really you're talking about it influencing the movies that would come out in the 90s.
Yeah.
It is influential.
I think it was like a blueprint.
Yeah.
to
Oh,
the-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because after this, people were pitching, it's like Die Hard in a boat, which is
Right.
Under Siege.
Die Hard on a bus.
Yeah, Die Hard on the bus. So there's
Speed,
all these stuff. There was one of the documentaries of one of the behind the scenes or extra footage on the Die Hard movies. They talk about how many movies this influenced and how many when they were going to pitches and be like, oh, this is gonna be like Die Hard and blah blah. And one of the producers, said that he literally got a pitch and goes, this is gonna be like Die Hard in an office building. And they were like,
That's Die Hard.
that's
Yeah.
actual
Die Hard.
fucking Die
Yeah.
Hard. That's the actual right. And so that was one of the things that it was, it became a cliche, like Die Hard in a blah blah. So very influential. I think it's a very influential movie. I like the movie a lot. I do think it's overrated because I do think that people love it, just like how you feel about.
Yeah.
I forgot what movie?
Top Gun.
Top Gun.
Yeah. No, I know when I
Why
say
do you think it's overrated though?
Because I think it's because of the controversy of whether or not it's a Christmas movie or not. I think that's what has kept it in conversation, especially in the last 10 years with social media.
No, I agree. That argument gets bigger each year.
I think it gets bigger each year. I think, and here's the thing: there's nobody that's ever going to be swayed. It's kind of like political conversations. If you don't believe it's a Christmas movie, there's nothing on earth that's going to convince you. The director saying it's a Christmas movie is not going to convince you that it's a Christmas movie. And if you're one of those people that believe that it's a Christmas movie, you get upset at the people who don't think it's a Christmas movie because you think they're fucking idiots. Because they are.
I don't think it's a Christmas movie. I think it turned into a Christmas movie.
I can actually agree with that. You know what? There's a thing to be said. I think it's a Christmas movie, but I think it's a Christmas movie because I'm like, I can make the argument both ways. Either I could be like, yeah, it's a Christmas movie, and then if I really wanted to fight for it, I'd be like, no, not really a Christmas. But I get it, whatever. But I think that argument has made it a constant conversation for the last, at least for the last 10 years specifically because of social media. But I think it's one of those where I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's the best movie of the series. I think part 3 is the best movie of the series.
You're not alone in that. A lot of people do like part 3 more. I don't. I think part 1 is the best, but 3 is my second favorite.
Yeah.
Same with me.
And-
Say 3 is my second favorite.
Yeah, and so I'm one of these, like, I don't understand, like, it doesn't. That's why I say overrated, and not that it's not good. And I love it. Look, I have the pop figures right there. Like, I love this movie. I just don't think that it's as great as everybody. Again, like what you said about Top Gun, it's just the way I see it. But with that said, I think it's I mean,
but so much better than Top Gun.
Well,
Well, because again, this movie
It is
was
more-
it was a blueprint.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't make like there's no movies where they're like, oh, it's like Top Gun and that there's no
because if you come to think about it, when
It's like Top Gun with jokes.
when Die Hard came out, in the 80s, many of the movies we did here was like Arnold and Sylvester and these bigger than life movies and action sequences and these heroes and all this stuff and these huge fit men, and there you had John McClane, a cop.
Yeah.
Stuck in a building.
This is the reason why Predator became about. This is how Predator got started. If you guys know that, do you guys know that? Not Die Hard. The reason Die Hard got started because it was supposed to be a sequel to Predator, and then Bruce Willis didn't
Not
want
Predator,
to
Commando.
Commando. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Shit. Fuck. I'm sorry. So there was supposed to be a sequel to Commando. Schwarzenegger didn't want to do it. So then they were like, all right, let's cast somebody else, and they cast it. And then he was in a TV show that was really Moonlighting. It was super popular. So he was like the it man for the moment. So they got him, and then they reworked it and reworked the title and reworked the script, and it became Die Hard. But it started out being a sequel to Commando.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well,
Yeah.
that was their intention, but the guy who wrote the book that this is based on wrote the book that this movie that Sinatra did in the 60s called The Detective was based on. And contractually, they had to offer the role to Sinatra. And so they wrote it with Schwarzenegger in mind, doing all of these crazy stunts, being a sequel to Commando. They presented that, basically a sequel to Commando, to Frank Sinatra because they were legally they legally had to. Sinatra looked at it. He was like, "Guys, I can't do this.
I'm fucking 80 years old."
Yeah, he's like, "There's no way."
All right, let's do it.
Wouldn't that be amazing? Can you imagine a Commando sequel with fucking Sinatra?
Right? You know what would have been
blue
even
eyes?
better? As much as I love the one man against like the whole fucking terrorist group, how much better would it have been if it was the whole Rat Pack? If it was fucking Dean Martin and it was the whole
Dean
fucking
Martin
group.
was there. He was fucking cocaine head.
That's so true.
But I mean,
I want a fucking Commando sequel. I'm sorry.
Sammy Davis
It's just-
Jr. was the computer hacker.
I mean, you guys make
One black guy. You make a one black guy.
oh my god,
That's not racist. He's a computer technician.
There you go. True.
Yeah, I mean, you make good arguments for the other movies being better or worse or whatever, but I mean, I think with the first one, it's just what we talked about that it set the way to other movies, but it's also the Hans factor because he's
the best villain.
The best
Hans
villain.
Gruber, man.
What do we say? That the movie should have been sponsored by Timex.
Oh right.
Because he was always looking at
Because at
Well,
the end, he's
at the
grabbing
very
onto
end,
her watch.
Hans is holding on to Holly's hand, right, and fucking Bruce Willis is holding on to her, and he notices that where he's holding on, like he has her by the wrist, so he just undoes the clasp on her watch, and he falls, and you see him and the watch falling
Yeah.
to the floor. And we were saying that it would be fantastic if at the very end of the movie, right, you see Hans's body on the floor and the Timex right next to it, and the Timex is still working.
Yeah. Takes a lick and
Take a
keeps
lick
on.
and keeps on ticking.
Exactly.
That'd be amazing.
There, a great story about that too is when he does the fall, the shot that they set up. They said that they were going to drop him on 3, and they dropped him on 2. The
It was a genuine reaction.
and a genuine reaction to what the fuck,
Yeah.
like that was a genuine fear that he had. It was, and the director, I did it on purpose. He's like, yeah, I let him go on. Like I told the guy drop him on 2, but I was like, hey, we're gonna drop him on 3, and he's like, fuck, drop this motherfucker.
That scene where John and Hans meet each other for the first time,
And
but
he
he
doesn't
doesn't
know.
know it's Hans.
Yeah.
Right? He goes, oh my God!
You're
Please
one of
don't
them?
shoot me.
You're one of them?
You're one of them. Yeah,
Clay, right?
Yeah,
That's
Clay. Yeah,
I'm Clay.
He is such a great fucking actor, man.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
was.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, so Die Hard's the number one.
All right, fantastic. So the number ones are.
Yours? What's yours?
That's right. I forgot.
That's how it works.
I'm selfless, man. It's not about me. I just think about the group. Look, my number one is without a doubt. This is the only movie that I knew was going to be my number one from the jump. I had constant. I talk about when I was a kid replaying these in my room, and I can't tell you. I could tell you unequivocally, I was the Kumite champion for 84, 85, 86, and 87. Undisputed. Like, it was one of those things where, like, don't even fuck with Neri, because he's going to win the fucking Kumite every year. And it had to be by invitation. I don't know if you guys know that, but it had to be by invitation. You had to be invited, and I was representing Nicaragua and America, which is like a dual citizenship, which was pretty fucking amazing, if you ask me. Yeah, man, Bloodsport is my fucking favorite 80s movie. My favorite 80s action movie might probably be my favorite 90s action movie too. Like, if you want to talk about like between 80s and 90s, I mean, but I fucking love Bloodsport.
Bloodsport's a shit.
It is the movie that made me fall in love with Jacques-Claude Van Damme. It is the movie I was doing roundhouse kicks in my fucking room. Like, I'm telling you, like, this was the fucking movie for me. And then, you know, in the 80s there was this weird quasi, if you were a JCVD fan, you couldn't be a Steven Seagal fan, like or like there had to be a clear like which one is better for you. And I was that guy. I was like team JCVD. I was like, no, we're fucking like, I'll watch your fucking Mark for Death and I'll like it, but I won't say it out loud because out loud I have to fucking say that I like Kickboxer better. Like, I have to like be that guy. And yeah, I legit love about that movie, like the fact that he's playing an American with that accent. Like, it's bananas. Like, no, and nobody flinched. Everybody's like, yeah, Frank Dukes, the American guy. Like, yeah, okay,
yeah.
And the movie was co-written, and the fights were choreographed by the real Frank Dukes, which also helped choreograph the scenes in the other movie that he directed. The Van Damme directed, The Quest. He also choreographed that, so they had like a working partnership, and that fell apart later on afterwards. But,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
and it's ironic that in Bloodsport was the first time he fought Chong Li.
Yes.
Because then in Street Fighter, he fought Chong Li later.
But I
was what, like 93, 94?
Something around there.
I don't know. It was when did the heavens open up and gift us with the wonder that was Street Fighter?
Poor Raw Julia. That's his last movie.
God,
that's a real sweet story. The story of Raw Julia. He knew he was going to pass away. He had cancer, I believe it was cancer. Yeah. And he knew he was going to pass away, and he had time for one more movie. And instead of taking a movie that he knew he could have won an Oscar for, because he had a fucking Oscar in him, because Raw Julia is a beast. His son's favorite video game was Street Fighter, and he took that role just so he could fucking play video games. He spent months leading up into that filming playing Street Fighter just to spend time with his son.
Oh, wow, that is a nice story.
Super sweet story. And he took it because he knew it was a shitty movie. Come on, he's fucking Raw Julia. He's not gonna know this is a shitty movie. But he was like, I'm gonna fucking take this role because I want to play video games with my son. I want to bond with him in whatever way I can. It's fucking sweet. Anyways, so Bloodsport.
Awesome.
I did not give JCVD the time of day.
Because you were about Steven Seagal?
No, not because I was about Steven Seagal.
Oh, were you about Steven Seagal?
No. I've never been and still am not a Seagal fan. Right. I like Under Siege.
I love Under Siege 1 and 2.
That might be my first set of boobies.
When
she comes out of the cake.
I mean, it's not my first, but yeah.
I legitimately like.
She was an actual playmate,
but
she was a legitimate playmate, not just an actress playing.
And wasn't she for Baywatch?
Yes, but
didn't Under Siege come out in like 89, 90?
93, I want to say.
93.
Yeah, I think
that
it
was
90s.
the first time you saw.
Wow. Oh no, then that wasn't the first time I saw boobies. Then that wasn't the first time I saw boobies.
I never was a Jean-Claude Van Damme fan. He never appealed to me. I was always a Schwarzenegger fan, always a Stallone fan, always a Bronson fan. But for some reason, I
don't understand how you're a Bronson fan. You're younger than me, and he's older than me. Like his movies came out way after. Like,
wait, you
my
really
time.
don't understand? It's Dave.
Yeah, you're right.
But he was also making movies in the 80s.
Yeah, but you were born like 87.
Yeah.
You see, by the time you were 7 years old, those movies weren't even replaying anymore.
Because of my grandfather.
Okay, that makes sense.
My dad's not a Bronson fan, so I didn't get the Bronson thing from him. My dad's a huge Schwarzenegger fan. That I got from him.
Right. My old group of friends, we each picked an action star, and those were the movies we'd collect. So like my Alfredo picked Schwarzenegger.
That's pretty smart. And then you used to watch it at each other's house. Well,
yeah. So I I said I'm Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
I picked Jean-Claude Van Damme. So I would go to Target to Walmart. They'd have the 3-pack of the movies.
Yeah.
I'd buy all of them. I have the entire collection of Van Damme movies.
I watched every movie that Van Damme has ever come out with in movie theaters. I've watched them in movie theaters. Like that was a thing that was a pride of joy that I had watched every single until he started making straight to video movies. I had seen every single Van Damme movie. Now there's so many.
Yeah, he has a bunch of extra random shit.
Random shit that I like, and I'll still try to catch. Whenever I find out about one, because I subscribe to his newsletter, but whenever I find out about one, I'll try to watch it like on some whatever form I can or whatever. But it's not the same as it used to be. Whatever. Like I remember I was working Blockbuster and a movie called Desert Heat came out, and it was him on a motorcycle. The cover was him on a motorcycle with a purple, like this fucking color purple tank top, and I was like, oof. Oh man, this is gonna be a difficult one to watch. I was like, oh boy, this is like everything else was like I don't want to say black and white, but it was like a dusty color.
I just happened to come across it, and the IMDb's so confused at the fact that somebody clicked on Desert Heat, that it's not working.
Yeah,
because it's
look at it.
It wasn't working to like load the page. It was like, are you sure?
They're like, I don't. It's a page that hasn't been pulled up in so many years. They're like, I don't even remember.
Somebody pull that out of the server.
Jesus.
I want to say the only 2 of his movies that I watched outside of Street Fighter, because I saw that one as a little kid being a Street Fighter fan. I saw the movie, but the only ones that I was interested in as a kid was Time Cop.
Best one.
Yeah,
Time Cop was
and Universal Soldier.
I mean, I can't wrong. I mean, I'm not, who am I to fucking tell you not to?
Right. And so I really didn't become a Jean-Claude Van Damme fan. I didn't have anything against him. I never felt compelled to really watch his movies. It wasn't until you and I started hanging out regularly that I came over here and you were watching Bloodsport. And you were like, oh, you've never seen this? Bro, sit down and watch this.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
But there was a time where he didn't make a bad movie, and by bad movie I mean that again, if you don't like the genre,
like Hard Targets, I love that movie, but
it doesn't age well. Hard Target is one of the ones that doesn't age well, which is ironic because it's the only one that's directed by a director who's still making Hollywood movies now, which is John Woo.
Oh, really?
Okay. Jean-Claude Van Damme handpicked John Woo for that project because John Woo was a big deal in China.
Yeah.
But nobody in the fucking States and then he brought him over here. He made Hard Target. John Woo's career took off. Fucking Van Damme's went on a decline, and then John Woo doesn't answer his phone calls anymore. Yeah. Ain't that some
another
Man.
one of Van Damme's I loved was Lionheart.
Leo the Lionheart. Fucking great. Oh my god. When he fucking fought that guy that looked like King Kong Bundy.
Yeah.
It's fucking fantastic.
I was on Team JCVD. I did not like Steven Seagal whatsoever.
As you shouldn't. Do a fucking sit-up, Steven. And learn how to treat women better.
That's
dick.
Diego's favorite. Diego's favorite was Steven Seagal.
Yeah, that story checks out.
Yeah.
He picked Cobra over fucking Rocky. What do I want to tell you?
My martial arts action star of choice is has always been
Bruce.
Well, I don't think of him as an action star. I mean, he only made 4 movies.
Okay.
So,
you know who only made 4 movies? The guy who played fucking Fredo. You know what those 4 movies were?
2 of them were Godfathers.
2 of them were Godfathers, and the other one was fucking
Dog Day Afternoon.
Dog Day Afternoon,
Yeah.
and the other one was Apocalypse Now.
Oh shit.
Yeah. He was 4 for fucking 4 in his career.
Well, then in that case, then yeah, fucking Bruce Lee. I was gonna say Chuck Norris, but like if Bruce Lee counts, then fucking Bruce Lee.
Was it?
So we've got 2.
So, all right.
We got 2 duplicates.
Die Hard and Commando. So we got to decide on what the last 2 are going to be.
Commando.
What was your number 1?
The Living Daylights.
The Living Daylights, yeah.
Because I was gonna say if
So we have.
Well, Commando's my number 1. Die Hard is your number 1.
so we could do
just
do
both of their
ones
number
and make
ones?
life easy.
Sure. Bloodsport and The Living Daylights, because we're already at 2 hours. So the final mountain is Die Hard, Commando, Bloodsport, and The Living Daylights.
Nice.
We
That's a good
finished
mountain.
early today. That's great.
Yeah, we're good.
So yeah, that's the mountain of 80s action movies: Die Hard, Commando, Bloodsport, Living Daylights. I haven't seen The Living Daylights. I'll check it out, man.
It's good.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I'm gonna.
I never even heard of that one. To be honest, I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest Bond guy. I know what happened after I started watching, which was GoldenEye and then on. Before that, I've heard the names Octopussy and License to Kill.
Dalton only did 2. Yeah.
Did only 2.
Yeah.
They're way darker than anything Pierce Brosnan ever did.
It might be a little shocking at first because it is considerably darker, but I like it. To me, it's the closest thing to the literary Bond.
It is.
Having read, I don't think I've read all the books, but I've read the majority of them.
Actually, it is.
That
It is.
that
Yeah,
is
I don't
the
think I've
closest
read
thing
all
to
of
it.
them because I haven't read any of them. So I don't think I've read all of them. But
I'll get you the kids' book. Don't worry.
pow pow. Next page.
Yeah,
Boom. Next page.
I'll take a
Sleep
juice
with me.
box, shaken, not stirred.
Let's sleep. Let's have a sleepover. Next page. All right, so that's the Mountain. DJ, thank you very much for hanging out with us.
problem.
man.
Yeah,
It was
man.
a lot
Glad
of
to be
fun.
here.
It was fun meeting you. I remember when you recorded the Christmas episode. David the next day was like, "You got to meet these guys. They're amazing." He's such a fanboy, and I was like, "All right, cool, man. I'll meet him, man. It's fine." But you could catch DJ on the podcast. Better let me tell you.
Yeah, we are premiering season 2 on the January 25th.
There you go, January 25th. So make sure you check that out. This is actually going to come out on Monday, which would be the 21st.
Yeah.
So
Martin Luther King.
so make sure you guys check out the 25th. Check out Better Let Me Tell You. They are part of the Geek Bro Network. We are proud to have them. We are grateful to have them.
Yep.
So make sure you check that out. Then Dave, you can check out from Naked Vengeance, the band Naked Vengeance. What's are they? You guys got a gig? Anytime?
Yeah, we got a gig February 9th at Renee's in Wynwood.
Okay, so February 9th, you can check out the band Naked Vengeance. And check out Naked Vengeance on everything in social media is at Naked Vengeance. And Dave is also part of he's also the guy, the host for Shiver, the horror movie podcast, which we got to do sooner.
We got to get on Misery, man.
Yeah,
we got to get it
on.
done.
So do that. And then Jeff is on every podcast in the Geek Bro Network. So make sure you guys check him out there. We are, by the time this comes out, we will have already recorded, but not yet aired, the top 10 movies of 2018 on Woo Bro, on What's Up Bro. So make sure you guys check that out, and so we could argue over that shit. It might be a two-parter. It's usually going to be a two-parter because it's usually long. But it's a fun episode that we do. It's probably my favorite episode of the year. So top 10 movies of 2018. Check it out on What's Up Bro. Check out my comedy at naryscience.com or whatwashisname.com. You can check out the other podcasts on Geek Bro Network on geekbro.net that include the What's Up Bro, Shiver, Zeros on Hero, Mama Zimmerlo, of course, Better Let Me Tell You, What's Good, and Comedy Fitness and Mr. Multiverse. So make sure you guys check us out at geekbro.net. You guys have been a lot of fun. Thank you very much. That's how lists are made. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Pow, pow, pow. Karate chop. Come with me. Just kidding. I have a need for speed.